I'm like, man, Rollo Tomassi don't get no hoes, man. Who, like, come on, man, like, who gave Rollo Tomassi this God tier status? Like, Rollo Tomassi don't get no hoes, man. Like, show me some hoes Rollo Tomassi pulled, you know what I'm saying? Show, like, really, like, y'all acting like he really popping, pushing P, like, y'all acting like he came out the womb saying P.
If you're gonna make goof videos about me, you can expect to have them as sound drops. I will use your energy against you. If you've read book 5, you'll know that I am all about red pill, jujitsu, judo. Will use your own energy against your opponent. I have some very special guests in the house today. I have Kevin Savo. Yes, I have Torshaa. And I've got Allie, Filmsapien today. We're going to have a really interesting talk. Yes. There we are. But before we do that,
this is for all my brothers looking to be a part of the community. This is more than just an NFT project to me. It's honestly a movement for men to help other men grow, both financially, physically, and a great mental check. Everyone in this community is here to grow with you, and I honestly wouldn't be here if I didn't read The Rational Male by ROLLO Tomassi. He's one of my favorite authors, and he helped me so much with perspectives. If you're looking for a quick flip, or if you're looking to make some money, I'm telling you, I bought one lion for $200 and I sold it for $3,000 in less than 24 hours. And I highly recommend you just checking it out. Buy yourself a lion. You either keep it or sell it, but I'm telling you, you want to be part of this movement.
aw, shucks. Okay, let me unmute everybody here. Sorry, I have to mute everybody or else they don't. Here you go. You can unmute. Let's go. My bad. There you go. Kevin, you're in.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, okay. There you go.
Are we good?
Did I put your names on? Maybe I should put your names in. I don't really actually use name tags very often on this one, but maybe I should this time.
You just put one name for all of us. It's Rollo Tomassi joins the kids table.
Yeah, the kids
the young 20-something-year-olds of the Manosphere made it to the Rollo Tomassi show.
How's it going?
There we go. Oh boy. Okay, so today's going to be real interesting. But before we get started, Kevin, what's everybody talking about here?
Red Pill Lions is going through the roof, and our holders are already buying and selling for like 10 times the profit. And everything is going so well. The Discord is really popular. And when Rocky put this together, the greatest thing about it was that it fit Rollo's brand so perfectly, more than just him being a spokesperson. It is what his message is, because what you always say is that you don't provide prescriptions, you give guys the tools to work on themselves. And so this is another asset that we put in your hands. It's up to you to do what you're going to do with it now. And already holders are day one, actually holders were buying for, at that time, the price was, you converted to USD, was 190. And later that evening, flipping it into $3,000.
Yeah. So it's live now. I know. Tori, you got one, right? Somebody's got it.
What?
I know.
An NFT.
One. You got my book though. That's right. You were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do.
I got Sarah Davis somewhere around here. She just got an NFT lions, and she got some her NFT red pill lions, and she just picked up the book too. So that was cool. I figured I would have the ladies on today too. I'm sort of breaking protocol here. I usually don't have women on my show, but I figured for today's topic it might be a little bit better. Oh wow, Sarah says she has 14. There she is.
Dang.
Sarah.
You got 14 lions. Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah. I hope she makes some money with it. Filmsapien's husband is copping a couple.
Oh yeah. We got to get him adjusted to the idea of crypto. He's working on it. It's in process.
We're teaching him. The cool thing about Rock is taking personal phone calls for people that are getting started with crypto and Ethereum that are not versed in it, and he's walking it through them. Even actually, our buddy Nikki G, that's in the opener in the fellas group, He didn't know anything about crypto, and Rock schooled him, and he made $3,000 off his NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Let me throw that one on there real quick. Listen to Kevin Samuels on, and they used Rollo's spinning plates without referencing Rollo. Imagine that. So bad they kept using all the terms from TRM with no reference. Yeah, well, I mean,
You invented the term plate spinning?
Well, actually, no, I didn't. Well, I mean, I updated it to what people consider plate spinning right now. Actually, that's a term from Tom Likas from way back in like 1999 or 2000, 2001, I think is what he was talking about. Spin more plates was his thing. And I applied that actually towards dating non-exclusively. And it was like, spinning plates, you're trying to keep the plate spinning on the stick kind of thing. And that's really what he was talking about back then. But really what he was referencing was non-exclusive dating. And it's just like, you have, there's people that you're dating, and there's people, you have a pool of candidates that maybe later on down the line you're going to, either get with or you're not going to get with.
Oh, I'm well versed, except maybe not the down the line part.
Yeah, well, I did in the first book, I did 6 chapters called Plate Theory. And that was actually something that I went into a lot of detail in the early years when I was in SoSuave, when I was a moderator on SoSuave. And we were talking about, non-exclusive dating. On that, I was making references to the Tom Likas term, which was, spinning plates. And then it kind of morphed into those 6 chapters that are in the very first book. So, I know I've heard Kevin use, I think he's used like war brides or like alpha widow and stuff. Those are straight out of on those occasions. Those are actually terms that I came up with. But again, it's hard for me to say, oh, well, that's plagiarism. I'm not going to say that because I always view the red pill as sort of like open source anyways.
No.
So, I mean, it'd be nice if somebody
request written permission from him.
Yeah. That's not going to happen. Yep. See, there we go.
Oh, that's a holder. He's got. Yeah. I love when the holders use their NFT as their profile picture.
Wait, I want to see.
Yeah, probably am going. Yeah, everybody's putting that's great, man. Everybody's using lions in their profile pictures.
Oh, cool.
Smells like Bored Ape, man. Oh, we should probably explain that too. By the way, Kevin, just real quick, like why we had to hold the drop for like 12 hours.
Oh yeah, so coincidentally, it was supposed to be Rollo's birthday. Then it coincidentally wound up being my birthday. Another holder, thank you so much. So midnight on my birthday is when it was supposed to drop, and Bored Apes had a surprise drop without promo, and they just. In a sense, if you don't know much about Ethereum, it's almost like crashing the market. Gas fees for Ethereum went through the roof. And we were like, Christ, are we going to have to hold it back a week? And thankfully, we only had to dial it back from 12 a.m. May 1st to 12 p.m. And still, then our project also went through the roof. It was a really, really successful drop. And I got to tell you guys, I understand with creature of the internet YouTube culture, if there's about 5 really popular takes on any given subject, that becomes the take of YouTube viewers who didn't investigate further. But seeing what's happened with Red Pill Lions has really, really taught me a lot. Rocky was already fully versed in crypto, Ethereum, NFTs. I was about half versed when I got involved, but now I can fully see that it's like anything else. If you know what you're doing and you know how to manipulate it for your benefit, you can make a lot of money. And the reason that Bored Apes goes through the roof and projects that have credibility go through the roof is not because people are stupid and they're like, oh, it's a JPEG image. I don't really know what to do with it, but I heard it was lit. It's folks know that this is going to be an asset. And I was really, really happy to see that day one people were making money, because what I thought would happen was our holders would make money after we sold out, because then they could no longer buy it from us personally. But to see it happening not only day one, but about 7 hours after launch was unbelievable. So guys are profiting. And if you know what to do with it, become versed in crypto, learn about crypto, take a course from Cultivate Crypto, learn how to manipulate these assets for your benefit, and fuck everybody that says, oh, it's a JPEG image, it's this, it's that, because it is an asset. Think of the visual art as just a representation of that asset, and then apply it to the fact that technically all currency is a little strange. What is money? It's just green paper. What is credit? It's really just items on a screen. So what is a picture of a lion? As much value as we lend to it, with the utilities that you get with it and the profit you could get with it. I mean, when I watching Nikki G, like barely scraping the surface of 20 years old, found out about NFTs like a day before he made $3,000 off his. It's excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And then just real quick here, how do we invest? Well, you can go to the link that's in the description right down below. If you scroll down below that, or like click open the description, and then there's also the invite for the Discord as well. So that's where you can get started. Right?
Yes, and when you get into the Discord, if you're confused about anything, we have a really, really helpful community, and the guys will help you. You literally just got to put questions in the Discord, and not only if it's not Rocky or Grizzy personally or myself getting back to you, we have our admins and even just the folks that are in the Discord just to talk red pill topic matters. Any of them that are versed in crypto and Ethereum help out if you're just getting started and you're just figuring it out.
Yeah, who's modding right now? I've got Sam and I've got Samishi's in there too, I believe. So just so you guys know, there
and
are
Shug.
Yes. And then so Rollo did a great breakdown of simping clause from Australia, and there goes my Twitch. So I was not aware that of course I have like all three of you on my Twitch right now just got disconnected because we said simp, but I had no idea that you couldn't say simp on Twitch. And so like when we're all talking about simp tokens and we're talking about like, remember we did that show where we're talking about how we're going to, I'm sorry, Torshaa, we were going to actually go do screen caps of you on your show, and we're going to create simp tokens for you so that we could profit from your.
Yeah, we could, or she could do it herself.
That's what I was going to do. Don't do that.
Well,
at
least Twitch is actually the only network that's pushing back against the term simp. I mean, it's a very slanderous term to dudes that simp. That's their life.
They love it. They love it. It's a point of pride now. Yeah. That's funny, you guys.
Oh, yes. Real quick. I just do have to say real quick, guys, with things like this, scammers run amok. Make sure you are not receiving any links from any DMs. You go to the redpilllines.com. That's where you make a purchase. Anybody that hits you talking about, I got your lion, that's a scam.
Uh-oh. Some there you go. That's what you get for your super chat. All right. So on to today's topic. Kevin actually came up with this today, and that's why I wanted to have some female input on this as well. But before we get started, Tori, why don't you introduce yourself real quick, just in case people don't know who you are already, because people keep. I don't think people still remember the interview I did with you back in August, and this is the first time I've actually had you on a dedicated show here. So why don't you introduce yourself really quickly?
My name's Tori. I go by Torshaa, and I make red pill content and psychology videos and dating and relationship stuff. That's pretty much it. I hate doing intros.
Well, there you go. All right. And
it's so awkward.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm Allie at Filmsapien on YouTube and IG. And I'm basically using the red pill subversively to bring back lumberjack husbands and loyal wives. And I mince no meat about that. Like, I think it's awesome. I just want their wives. I want wives to get their backs blown out for the rest of their lives. And I want men to get it put on them for the rest of their lives too. So like, I don't know why people have a problem with my message.
if you know who Filmsapien, you've been on Ryan's show already. Have you been on Ryan's show? You've made the rounds, right?
No, not with Ryan. I actually don't think Ryan likes me. I don't think he's into the traditionalism. But I have been on Donovan's.
That's right.
I've been on Donovan's a ton. Savo had me.
And your boy, Modern Life Dating. He was very happy.
You were on with John. That's right. You were on with John as well. And then Tori, you've been on with Donovan. You've been on with you were on with Paul Benjamin not too long ago too.
Yeah, I've done a couple shows with him, and then we did Fresh and Fit, Tekashi 6ix9ine episode, and
we did a Saucecast together too, you and I.
Oh yeah, Saucecast.
And Apex Predator came down to your studio. Or I'm sorry, what's his real name? Apex Game. Oh,
we already said.
I should know that.
Apex Predator.
Did you guys say his? Did you guys said his real name? His government name? What's his? Apex what? Help me out. What is it? I forgot.
Apex Mindset. Oh, Paul Benjamin?
Apex Mindset, right?
Mindset, yeah.
Yes, Rollo already said
Sorry,
him.
Apex Mindset. Okay, my bad. I didn't know his government name. You know that there between my YouTube friend base and then my rapper friend base, there's certain people I've known 5 years. I don't know their real name. I just know their stage name.
Okay, so Kevin, what was your topic today? Kevin actually came up with a topic today, and I think it kind of wedges in nicely with what I was talking about on Sunday, which was the Fresh and Fit interview, such as it was. I guess the ambush from Kyle and Jackie O, but I think it fits in pretty well with that. In case people hadn't seen that, I wanted to touch on that just a little bit today too. I don't know, have you guys seen that clip with Myron and Fresh and Jackie O and Kyle from Kyle and Jackie, I guess. Did you guys see that?
I did a reaction to that one. Yeah.
It was hilarious.
So I'm gonna throw that one out here a little bit, but Kevin had a really interesting question. It was like, do modern women really have power right now, or do they want to actually be in a position of dominance? And what I mean by that is like, is it like when I was listening to the Kyle and Jackie O, I have no earthly idea who these people were, but like the same argument is something that I keep hearing coming up over and over again. So when you get like normies, like Kyle and Jackie O, I guess, when you listen to Jackie, her thing is very egalitarian, equalitarian, blank slate equalism, and they are approaching they're approaching the topic from the perspective of we're all equals, right? I don't need no man and no man needs me, and so we should just get together because we want to get together. And that's a very common refrain that I hear on Fresh and Fit from the 15-year-olds that are next to me the whole time that I'm on there. But not just that, like the last time I was on FNF, it was the after hour show, and we had a really kind of broad spectrum of chicks on there, which was kind of an anomaly for them. So I'm there, and the girl who was immediately to my right is this girl who's a French Canadian girl who's, I guess, trying to expat from Canada into Miami, and it turns out like she's actually like a sugar baby for some surgeon or something like that. We found out midstream, and she's just just locked into this. It's almost like a religious like belief set about like, oh, this is how men and women ought to be and blah, blah, blah. And she's there and it's, that's your opinion and this is my opinion. And then the girl that's like one step over from her, she's 18 years old and she is almost more blank slate, egalitarian, equalitarian kind of thing. She's mentioned she was bisexual, whatever, but she was talking about how she just could not wrap her head around what Myron was saying. She couldn't wrap her head around what I would bring up, and I would say, hey, look, here's the data, here's the facts, here's what's going on, and they just simply resisted it. And I wanted to say this on Sunday, and I think maybe now is a better time to say this, but I think that there is a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because there are people who have they have the mental capacity to understand this, interpret this, and really get like have the critical thinking skills to understand a concept, but they just choose to ignore it. And that's like, they're not dumb. They just choose to ignore the data that's in front of them, or they defer to like, what they've been taught over the years, or they can't, like on some level of consciousness, they realize that they can't really process what's being presented to them without defaulting back to something else so they can protect. It's like ego protection. They have to like protect their egos from like outside information that contradicts what they've invested themselves in for a long time. Then you've got people who are stupid. Then you got people who just simply lack the fundamental, ability to even think outside the box or think out of the way that they're thinking. And the girl who was like right to my right, I would call her stupid. And I don't mean that I mean that in the most, I hate this because it sounds like I'm being really mean, but it's like, I mean that in the most clinical sense. She fundamentally cannot understand anything that contradicts what her ego has been invested in for the longest time. And I think that when we get to, do modern women have the power in a relationship? Do they want to have the power in the relationship? And I'm wondering how many women actually think about that. Like how many women actually have the insight to think ahead of, and maybe this is unfair because I already know that Allie is married and I know what you've been through, and you might want to present, like how you came to be who you are right now. And then Tori, everybody knows that I've been working with you really since August of last year. So maybe it's there's going to be a sort of a bias there, but try to think back, ladies, try to think back. before you came into the knowledge of this material, or you read my stuff, or I met you online, Tori, and think about where your headspace was when you were before and then after. And do you think that you think differently now, or do you have like what, at what point did you have like sort of this insight to say, okay, this is bullshit and this is not bullshit?
Actually, I know exactly what was going on, because in all my previous relationships, I was leading without knowing that I was leading. I was very feminine, but I was kind of propositioning or whatever the guy into the leadership role, like, oh, you should do this, like that kind of language or whatever. And so he would do it. And then one day I was just like, I've dated this many people. I've never been sexually attracted to any of them. Is there something wrong with me? And I actually went to like a gynecologist because I thought there was something like actually wrong, like I had a disorder. So then flash to red pill and stuff. It wasn't up until maybe a month ago that I think it was the episode with Paul where it kind of clicked for me. I was like, he was breaking down, okay, so you go for the beta guys, I guess, like the provisioning parental, because those were the big things I was leading with. I always wanted babies and I was looking for a husband. And so I wasn't going for the guy that gave me the tingles, pretty much. So in order for me to understand that I needed to be sexually attracted to them, I had to go for guys that were opposite of what I was normally going for. So like the fuck boy per se. That's a really extreme example, but like the alpha fucks part of hypergamy. But so I started talking to a guy recently who embodied that portion. And then I realized, okay, we'll talk about this part later, but where they kind of they hold their ground. They say, no, we're not doing that. And this wall that you hit, and you're just like, oh, that's why women have so much control, because there's so much anxiety that comes from not getting your way. I hope that made sense. I know it was a little bit of a tangent.
Allie, what about you? Like, how did you come to? Well, I know your story, but my people don't know. But go ahead.
Right. Well, the school of hard knocks. What do you mean? Okay, so basically, young women are programmed to be excellent workers, and I have a high IQ. So, like my whole life, it was just go get an education.
You and Michaela Peterson.
Right. Precisely. So it was go and get an education or join the military, because you can't trust men, because that was the framework that my mom was like teaching me about. So then I ended up joining the United States military. I kept getting broken up with, and I was over it, and I wanted to leave my hometown. I went like full drama with it. I signed up to serve my country. And then I found out like men and women are totally not the same. I ended up developing a nervous tick because my first unit was a combat arms unit. And it was just like constantly psychological warfare for myself to try to keep up with men. And I physically could not. And they weren't too excited about having a girl in the club either, because I was the second woman to show up to the med platoon. So I found out physically that men and women are different. But I also, when I got married, so I'm divorced, I remarried, I did well, it wasn't even the provisioning side of things. I don't know what that was. I have no idea what type of hypergamy that was, but I didn't know that there was a different quality of men. I kind of viewed men as like an accessory, like a bystander, and I wanted to get married for security or safety, just to have like a companion. You know what I mean? And then I woke up one day and I was 25, and he like professionally regressed, and we can get into that later. What happens when you outperform your husband? It's not very sexy, and so I just walked away from millennial men, and then I married a Gen X wholesome Chad. So that's where I'm at.
Wholesome Chad is wholesome. Oh, Lucius. Well, we got him. Since you are begging for here, wait. We got
what is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
Okay. Why are you using sexual pictures of your daughter? Well, Tori's not my daughter, first of all. I wanted to point that out. I feel like it's incumbent upon me to point that out, but you're probably referring to last week's image for the thumbnail, and that wasn't her either, by the way. That's actually Belle Delphine. Thanks. Try again. Try again next week.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, I thought that was funny, Tori. Like, if you were like, somebody did a podcast and they go, "Is Torshaa Rollo Tomassi's daughter?" I'm like, how old do you think I am?
Were they talking about the thumbnail?
No, well, there was actually a video not too long ago where people were like making up rumors that Tori was actually my daughter. I'm like, no. Let me
Were
clarify
they?
right now.
I didn't
Yes.
even know.
Yeah, there was actually I forget the guy's name, Mark something or other. I can't remember, but it was a joke. It wasn't meant to be serious.
okay.
But
Are either of you Italian?
yeah, and I am not Italian.
I
Thank you
am.
very much.
Are you Tori?
I don't pretend to be either.
You are Italian, right? You have some.
Yes.
You ask me this all the time, yeah.
Okay, well I forget shit. I'm a busy guy. What the fuck?
Just the
No.
cazzo.
Oh, so I think those are two interesting perspectives, because when I was on that show with the younger girls, like the French Canadian girl was 28, and then the girl next to her was 18, and then the girls on my right hand side were like 33, 31, 35, and their perspective, it's like on one side is like the epiphany phase is like these girls to my left, and the other side is these girls to my right. And the women on my right were had either had babies, or they'd gone through something, or they'd had a man and they lost a man, kind of thing. And they're trying to explain this to really a younger generation, and only like in some cases like 10 years. And they're trying to explain this to them, and it doesn't register. It's not even making a dent in their thought process. But I think what happens is, like, when I was, and I'll show the Jackie O thing here in just a minute, and I won't show the whole clip. I don't want to get too far into it, but I think there's some salient points in that video where she begins from a premise of thinking that everyone else thinks like she does. And I think that's where we're kind of at with women today, especially younger women today. I've described it as this: they are tactical thinkers rather than strategic thinkers. And by tactical thinkers, it's like, okay, what's the most immediate battle that's in front of me? What's the most immediate thing that I have to deal with right now? I'm between 18 and 28 years old, and this is how I have to operate, I guess. And whenever I'm there, I confront these girls with the question of, how did you come to believe, like, how did you come to think the way that you do? Because I hear the same kind of rhetoric come out of their mouths that I've been hearing since, Gloria Steinem in the 70s. And we're still, so in some cases, literal verbatim using the same language that early, late 60s, early 70s militant feminists were using, and it's still prevalent today. And yes, by the way, I saw this, I can't scroll back to it, but people were saying, "Oh, you talk about abortion. We'll get there. Trust me, we will get there in this
Don't do
show."
it to me.
Yeah, we will get to that today, because I want to say just how easy it is. Keep your eyes open and just watch how easy it is to manipulate women with the fear of losing control over hypergamy. That we'll come back to that. But I wanted to say, like, okay, I guess maybe Allie's a better one to ask in this, and I don't know, maybe Torshaa as well. Like, have you been in a relationship where you were like hot for the guy, and you believed in, like, maybe this was your first wedding or your first marriage, Allie, where you were with the guy and he turned into something that you didn't like, or he went from being like sort of alpha, and then he became beta afterwards, and then you were the one who had to step into that sort of power vacuum. Am I getting that right?
I mean, there's just so many textbook situations of why that went wrong. So I wouldn't say that he was like particularly masculine, but I met him. We were in medic training, and medic training is advanced. It's 4 months long. And so you get a crash course. So you have to be intelligent in order to make it through. So I met him. He was intelligent and he seemed kind. I was not attracted to him. And I didn't know that that was like a thing that women needed either. And I don't know a lot of women who are married to men that they're attracted to, which is really unfortunate, which is why I have my platform. So like in the military, the government made him very disciplined with his work ethic. But once he transitioned out of the military, it started to regress. And I was being faced with that I was going to end up working for the rest of my natural born life. And I don't mean like just working a 9 to 5, something easy. Like I was going to have to work hard to mitigate for the disparity of his work ethic. And that's when I knew like the jig was up, and it was a gradual regression. I didn't see it coming at all. I just woke up one day and resentment hit me in the face. And I was like, I just have to get out of this. It's not viable. It's not going to happen. And I ended up finding out what genuine desire was, that physical attraction piece, which is why I talk to women all the time, like marry someone that you want to have sex with. It's really important. But I didn't have that biological experience until I met my current husband. And now that I know like what all how my body would respond to a man that I'm attracted to, it's a key point of information that I didn't have before. And my gosh, like I feel bad for women who don't get to marry their first choice, because they know, if the man that you're married to is the best sex of your life or not. And that's like a really heavy secret to carry in your heart, because you can't say that out loud. You can't share that with him. It's gonna break his heart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tori, did you have a guy that you were with that sort of went from alpha to beta and you were just sort of done with the guy?
Yeah, I was engaged to a Marine, and he ended up moving himself into my place, never paying rent, and then lost his job. So he quit. Not got fired, he quit. And so he was using my credit cards and all that stuff. So I was making more. He ended up falling into that role because I don't know. I've always liked guys that I could look up to, that could take care of everything if something were to happen. But there was something repulsive, just like how men view single moms. I was viewing this man later on.
Do you think he was, were you looking for, like you mentioned before, were you looking for a guy who was like more alpha, or you were looking for a guy who was more like a beta provider at that time?
It was always a beta provider, but guys in the military are really quick to want to marry somebody. And so I think that was probably kind of facilitating that. But, you put on that uniform and it kind of makes you appear alpha, I guess. I mean, I didn't agree with a lot of stuff.
So it's interesting because just recently, and I watched, by the way, this was a brilliant episode on your part, Tori, was when you made up a Tinder profile right there, like on your show.
My hypergamous filter out loud.
First guy you respond to is like a cop.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't want to go all like, Sigmund Freud on you here, but do you think that is, are you looking for a guy who's in control, for a guy who has dominant?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was like, this is the authoritative job. Absolutely. You see how like my mind, normally I wouldn't go for a guy like that, but now I'm like deprogramming, trying to program myself into going for maybe, I mean, they could be safe too though, because they're a cop. Questionable, actually.
Yeah.
That's a bad joke though.
Kevin, you had something?
So what seems to be going on, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, tell me if you agree. It seems like a narrative has been put in front of women that would suggest confusing a man leading her and leading a household and setting the frame with, I guess I want to say, belittling her or disrespecting her or demeaning her in some way, to assume that there's any sort of roles. What I've noticed is that I seem to attract women that want masculine men. And I don't walk around saying I'm alpha. I don't walk around announcing that I'm high performance, but my high performance lifestyle speaks for itself. And so then I've noticed that I don't have to tell a woman, listen, I'm alpha, we on the red pill channels, and this is what I need done. I need the laundry done. I need the dishes done. I need things taken care of because I'm working so hard. I can't handle it all. Everything falls apart if I work on my own. So if we're going to work together, we're going to work as a team. I rarely have to say any of that, because it seems that women that want masculine men, as long as you set that frame for her, then it becomes suggested automatically in terms of like, she'll notice how hard I'm working and say, hey, let me take your laundry this week, or something to that effect. But to verbalize it still throws women off. In other words, the funny thing is, the girl that offers to contribute around the house, it's almost like a dirty thing to even say, the girl that does my laundry. Crazy. Like the comments will just go crazy. He suggested she do the laundry. That's become the craziest thing. I actually said to my grandmother recently, I said, Grandma, did you know that today, if you want your woman to help out around the house, you're a misogynist or like an evil dictator in your household? And she was like, what? How's it going to get done? And it's funny. It's so funny that like to a traditional woman that does not compute to her. It does not make sense. But again, the funny thing is, the girl that offers to do my laundry, or the girl that offers to help put the house together while me and Rocky and the boys are working, say on the NFT, I don't know, 9 different movie projects, the 9 different productions that go on at once. Had I asked her, or had I told her up front, this is how I like to run my household, and if you're going to be a part of my life, this is what I need you to do in order to contribute. I have ways I contribute to you. You have ways you contribute to me. Laundry is one of them. she had flipped the fuck out, even though she wants that to be her role in my life. But to verbalize it is still so off-putting because it triggers the narrative right in their minds, which is really, really interesting. And I actually had something like that happen. I jokingly told a girl, my laundry never gets done because I don't have a woman to do it. You want to be that girl? And she was like, I know you're joking, but that's so disgusting. A month. No, but I'm saying a month later, after some time dating, after some good sex, after spending some time together, after her observing my lifestyle further, she forgets that conversation ever took place. And she's just like, hey, give me your laundry. You're working too hard.
I'm surprised she even asks. She should just do it.
No, but you guys understand the main point that I'm making is that to verbalize these things seems to trigger that narrative that's been handed to women for concern. The idea that to lead and to expect you to have any level of a role in the relationship is to be not even just misogynistic, but it is to demean her in some way. But if you don't verbalize it, a woman that wants a masculine man will automatically step into that role because she sees it's where she's needed. Now, however, I've seen a lot of women that I've never actually experienced these women because the women that I date, if we get into conversation, it's funny. Certain things Myron Gaines would say, if I say it, they understand it. If they see it on Fresh and Fit done for dramatic effect, they're still equally pissed. But I don't come across many women that tell me I want to be able to walk all over my man. I want to be able to leave the house. I want to be able to. I come across women that tell me story after story, like you two just said, that I was attracted to a previous lover. I was into it, but I started making more money than him. I was out. I noticed that he couldn't lead me the way I wanted to be led. Or I've heard women complain about not wanting to have sex with their men. And of course, my follow-up question is, what did he do to lose your respect? And they have an answer. They're not blind to what's going on. So what I'm trying to understand is, what is the deal with these few women that actually believe they want that role, that they want to walk all over their men, that they want to lead? Because the first thing I'm thinking is that dilemma is coming back to strike them at some point. I don't know if once the power trips over, they're going to realize I'm with a man that I don't respect at all because I lead him.
Yeah. Let me, this is a really good question. You can respond to that in just a second, but this was really good. It's like, where does the phrase "I don't need a man" come from? Hollywood, movies, top 40, college, mothers, fathers. Is there a pivot point, a mass exodus, psychological frame ground around 1972 or something? Yes, actually there is. That's where it comes from. It's all of the above, but it originated in like Our Bodies, Ourselves, or like the feminine mystique, or like,
oh wow, you know the answer. Well.
We're talking about like late 60s, early 70s. Let's just round it off. 1970s militant feminism, when like post sexual revolution feminism, when it started to taking off, that right there, I don't need a man. It's like a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, right? That's I forget the chick who came up with that, but it wasn't Gloria Steinem. It was the other girl, the other militant
bicycle.
Yeah, but it's pretty much there's variations on that theme, which is just basically I don't need no man is what it comes down to. I threw something up on my Instagram not too long ago, and it was an early picture of Gloria Steinem from like 1971 or something, where she said, "Some of us," and this is quote unquote, "some of us are becoming the men we want to marry." Where have we heard that in 2022?
right.
Yeah, because it's there, it's everywhere right now. It's like unavoidable, it's unignorable right now. But I think it's fascinating to if we go and we rewind the tape all the way back down to 1970, to see the rhetoric and to see the talking points that we're still using in the 21st century is just amazing to me. But that's where I think it's at. But I was going to say this is, do you guys and Allie and Tori, do you guys hear like the women in your circle say, "I don't need a man, but I want a man"?
Oh, I mean, sometimes it's empathic, right? So I have a girlfriend. She very much, I think, would be interested in having a boyfriend, and I've offered to help her before, but she's around a lot of empowered women, or like a lot of blue-pilled feminist women, because not every woman even knows that they're a feminist. But I've confronted her with sort of the tools and the information that she would need to lose like probably 150 pounds, and that doesn't sound good. So instead, like, she just kind of diverts on that. But honestly, the reason why women say they don't need a man is so that they can look cool to to their girlfriends. Like, you want to look impressive, you want to look like you can work in the world, because women judge other women the most. Like, I don't even think it's the patriarchy holding us down. I'm pretty sure it's the matriarchy. Like, all of the disdain that is, I get looked down upon for staying home and depending on my husband all the time. All the people call me lazy, people call me a gold digger, and you know, women shouldn't put each other down in that way. Like, you're probably just mad that you have to work. Like, I would hate me too if I was in that situation. But yeah, it's to look like you're valuable to your girlfriends. The thing about it is that girlfriends aren't real though. Like, we're all waiting to get picked up by some guy. So if your girlfriends figure out the game before you do, you're gonna be by yourself hanging out at the bar at 35. Like, that is a foolish plan, but that's where it's coming from.
You're at the club at 2 a.m.
By yourself.
2 in the fucking morning
on a Wednesday.
Tori, do you need a man?
Yeah, no shit.
Man,
desperately.
But I think a lot of women have been fucking the wrong dudes. Are we allowed to swear on here?
Go
like,
ahead.
they're having sex with like the 20.
And it say making love for the algorithm.
Yes.
They're making love with the wrong dudes. And so they have this, it's like I want to say delusion, but they just think all guys are like this. They think all guys are having sex. That's like the biggest problem, is that if you ask any girl, they think that all these guys are having so much sex. So why are the ones that they're messing with treating them this way? And why is it a collective? I don't think women are really smart enough to realize that what they're actually saying implies that you're going to be single forever. Like, if you say, I don't need, it's like, that's great that you don't need a man, but you do at some point, unless you want to be, what is it? The she-economy statistic. It's like 25 to 45. Sure. Yeah. I couldn't get it on here, but it was, they are going to end up single and childless. And we know that one of the biggest things that precipitates a woman's happiness, if that makes sense, is children, whether they know it or not. I think most convince themselves they don't even want kids, but then they have kids, they're happy. But I was going to say with Savo, his point that he said, how women are telling you all this stuff, they're opening up to you and whatever, you do realize that that means that they view you as an alpha male. Did you know that when a woman opens up like that, that's how she knows that you're high value?
Well, I'm gonna need Rollo to confirm that, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I'm saying, like,
Rollo, what do you think?
Hold on. Now that I'm here with the gang. So a way that,
right. I love how you're below me. I'm like, what's that, Tori?
Yeah, throw it out there, man. And by the way, anybody in the chat, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to throw them up here too. So
when a woman finds you safe, in the term, not like when we talk about betas, but I mean safe, dominant, you could protect her from anything, you don't judge her, that sort of thing. I know the word judge, it's whatever. That's when they start to, I always call it word vomit, but they tell you too much. And I just learned that that's because you held your frame and they're trying to step into it. True
oh my
or not?
God, that's why they keep telling me about their sexual history, making me want to fucking kill myself.
You set it up, though.
Right?
No, but I will tell you this. Funny enough, to that point, I have very loving relationships with the women in my life, and it's kind of a funny thing to say that I have a few women in my life, but they're all pretty close relationships. It's like almost like polygamy. It's strange. But when I talk to the women in my life and I ask their opinions on certain things, or we're intimate and we're close and we're talking, a lot of times I just listen. That's kind of the funny thing. Like, we come here, we do the red pill talks, but in my personal life, I just listen to a lot of their feelings, thoughts, concerns. And I got to be honest with you, not a hell of a lot of what women have opened up to me about in terms of their desires, about their feelings, about a dynamic between them and me, or them and men in general. Not a hell of a lot of it contradicts these talking points. I like I said, I very rarely come across women who have told me anything other than they want a man to be able to properly lead them. They just haven't found the men that have done it. And that all the issues with a man trying to establish some form of dominance have failed because they didn't think he was the man that could lead. So when I hear that, that's what confuses me about the girls that actually think that they want to run the show, because I haven't come across many of them, and I haven't come across a lot of women that have really tried to run my shit either.
Well,
Yeah.
it's that the guys they have a scarcity mindset, so they end up giving into whatever the girl's saying. So it can be as simple as he's like, okay, we're gonna go to this party at this time, and she goes, no, I don't want to go. My anxiety's too bad. It's not okay, we can do something else, or it is that. And so if a guy was to be like, no, you either come or you don't, that's it. Girls hardly hear that. And if they do, they're like, fuck this dude. And then he goes
Oh.
without her, right? You can leave, right? And then a day later, you withhold attention, and there she goes. She results into a feminine frame. It's just guys don't have the balls to do it right now. They really don't.
Do you think that most women would fall into that if the guy was like just like super dominant from the beginning, like command presence from the beginning?
Yeah. No, I think
yeah.
I think so. I'll let you go in a sec, Allie, but I think so, because I actually I was dating a girl that like they always have to say something about a past lover to a certain extent, and she told me what did she say about her past lover? She said he wanted to do all this weird shit in the bedroom that I was uncomfortable with, and I was like, oh really? And further investigating, I'm like, is it because you didn't feel he was dominant enough and strong enough to lead you? She goes, yeah, if he was strong enough and dominant enough to lead me, I would have done all of it.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to call this out real quick. Torsha's such a chameleon. Rollo's blinded to it. I don't know why. Are you a chameleon? Like I don't like what? Why would you say it? Why do people think that you're a chameleon? I don't get it, quite honestly. Because I know you. I've talked to you. I've done shows with you, and on Saucecast and everything else. Just okay. Just for full disclosure, how old are you, Tori?
I'm 27.
27. How many like? I'm not going to ask you what your body count is. How many like relationships have you had in your past?
That would give away my body count.
Okay, so you're
yeah. So,
all right. Let me ask you one more, and I'm going to ask Allie the same thing. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Allie?
No, you're asking me?
Tori.
Me? I thought you said Allie. Do I? Yeah, I do.
You do. Okay. How many brothers or sisters?
I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay. And your parents are still together?
Yes.
Okay. Allie.
And I live with my parents.
See, you are a chameleon. Allie, I if you choose to, how old are you? And like, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I'm 27. It's considered geriatric in the manosphere. I'm so sorry. I have like no breast milk. It's just straight up powder.
Oh my God.
But in any case, no, my parents, my biological parents are not together. It's like a hot mess. It's everything that Rollo warns women about when you decide to be a single mother is atrocious. So I have 2 half brothers on my mother's side, and I have 2 half sisters from 2 different baby mamas on my father's side. How he's betting these women, I don't really know. What other questions do you have about my history?
I just wanted to see what your family was about and get an age bracket there, because I think it's important. I mean, it's important with there. And you know what, Kev, how old are you?
So I just turned 26.
Mm-hmm. And how many brothers do you have, Kevin?
Technically 4. One that's not my mother's kid, but 3.
3. Okay, so 3 brothers and 1 half brother. I didn't know that.
No, I'm sorry, Jesus, I'm shot. 2 brothers that are blood related. 1 that's a step brother from a past relationship that we kept.
Oh, that you kept.
And
you showed up at the
house. No, but you know what's so funny is I'm just realizing here, I was joking around like this is the kids table. This is like the 20-something-year-olds of the manosphere and Rollo in the same stream. But that's what's so fucked up about the manosphere. At 26, I'm the inexperienced kid that shouldn't be here, but y'all are at the wall and we're all the same age basically. So y'all are seen as like more adult, and then I'm like the Billy the kid that's like trying to step up in modern life dating
Women
stream and shit, and they're like, keep them out of here.
We're viewed as kids all the time. Women. What are you talking about?
You can't be a kid and be at the wall.
Yeah, you can. Rollo, aren't we children for life?
You're children.
Yeah.
They act like it.
Well, I think it's interesting because remember, Tori, you were engaged at the very least, right? Before you were 27.
I was engaged to every single boyfriend.
How old were you when you first got engaged?
20.
20.
So fucking Mark's age.
Yeah.
Mark's age, my youngest brother.
Allie, when did you first get married? When you first married? What was your first? How old were you?
I got married when I was 20.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah,
I
it was
have
dual
a
military
20-year-old
too.
running around this house. I can't. Oh, it's so crazy.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah, obviously it
because
didn't
I
pan
think
out,
that-
bro.
what's funny to me is like when people say, "Oh, Tori's a chameleon," blah 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 blah. Right? I think that because Tori is both of you very attractive women, so it's like when you present yourself or you come on this show for sure. When you come on here, it's like I don't know why people think I'm supposed to be sitting here with like all the chicks from Fresh and Fit, just like draped over them, going, "Yeah, this is how I live." That's why I did that. By the way, that's why I went with that intro this on today's show. And I think it's fascinating to me that like there's this one side of the manosphere that's like, if you're not like getting with a new chick every half an hour, if you don't have 1,400 lay count, then like what good are you? And if you do have a high lay count, then you're completely worthless, and that's the other side, right?
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people, when they see an attractive girl, they don't want to think that there's a possibility that, hey, maybe she's actually an interesting person. Maybe she's actually somebody that, instead of being, I won't say it's intimidation so much. I think it's more like there's this preconception, and maybe that has something to do with culture. What's that?
Yeah, I don't mind it, honestly. If like that's what you want to call me, that's what you want to call me. They change colors in nature. Isn't that what a chameleon does? It's like women put on a different mask when they're in front of somebody else. I mean, it's not far off. It depends on who you're in front of. But I mean, I can't really lie on the internet because I'm on the internet every day streaming. It would be really hard to
stay
keep
off
up
of
with.
OnlyFans too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard out there.
I think that's funny because like when I've mentioned this on a few other shows, is like when people ask me like, why is OnlyFans so popular? Like, why can't guys just go jerk off? I mean, it's porn's free, right? It's streaming free, 4K. If that's all okay, why do they spend small fortunes on OnlyFans girls? Well, it's because of that connection. It's that want for that connection with that
girlfriend
woman.
experience. Yeah.
The virtual girlfriend is what they're looking for. And so
like, it's like she acknowledged me. She knows I'm sitting here jerking off.
Yeah, exactly. So we're actually having this communication. And I also mentioned this too. You want to talk about chameleons? Here's a chameleon. The chameleon is the girl who's the top earner on OnlyFans, that top like 0.1% or whatever. And it's usually the chick who's not like this blonde haired, blue eyed, big tits, looks bikini model. She's the girl who looks attainable. She's the one who looks like she's like the girl next door. She looks like maybe you could have a conversation, like a gamer girl, right? You want to know why Twitch was such a lucrative proposition for gamer girls? That's why, because they seem like they are in some way like approachable and attainable. And so the way I see it anyways, cam girls, OnlyFans and stuff, the top earners aren't like 9s and 10s. They're like 7.5s. And guys go, well, you mean there's a chance, like they could actually give that
breathing heavily.
I have a complex. I've named that. I call it the Daphne Velma complex.
Oh yeah.
It's weird to use a cartoon as an example, but when you have Daphne and Velma side by side, I think all men that saw that cartoon when they were kids, they aspired to have the girl that looked like Daphne, but somewhere along the lines, the Daphne seemed unobtainable, and now Velma is sexualized like a motherfucker.
Totally true.
What do they call it? Cosplay.
Yeah, cosplay.
And they even did the Scooby-Doo movie with live action movie with actual actors instead of it being a cartoon, and they had that scene in the movie where Velma has a glow up and she wears this skin tight leather hugs a figure knife, titties pop. So I think that's an example of how the the 6 has been sexualized as like, well, the 6 is opportune because I see her as being in my reach. She does not quite intimidate me as much as the 10, so maybe I could go for it.
Oh, wow. I got to throw this on here real quick. Salam, Rollo. Your book is now being read in Morocco. All right. Morocco. See, I'm international. Live and worldwide. I'm worldwide. We have a huge wave of feminism that is destroying us, and the law is the same in the U.S. Men are now avoiding marriage like the plague.
Imagine that.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. What else do we have here? I got this one too. Every woman wants a man who's in control, but they hate controlling men.
Well, yeah. I mean, who wants to be married to that? Yeah. That's the thing, though, is there's a difference between establishing your masculinity through like society, through your worth, your contribution, and then trying to justify your masculinity through like how feminine and submissive your girl is. Or like my husband doesn't rule this house with like an iron fist, although I mean it's kind of sexy. But no, I just naturally want to do things for him, and I understand what the expectations are, and there's a positive feedback loop. For all of the feminine delights that I give him, I get in return this protection, this provisioning, and also some pretty solid genetics too. So like that, women don't want to be around controlling men because controlling men are effeminate men. Like why do you see the need to rein me in so much? But I've seen it happen before. I had a girlfriend, she married the rebound, and he was constantly trying to tell her like, no, I'm the man of the house, so you need to cook for me. No woman's gonna believe that. No way.
I was that's interesting you should say that, because when I was watching the Fresh and Fit thing with the Australian radio show, I got that from the Jackie O chick there. And I did not realize this at the time. I apologize for not covering this when I was doing the show on Sunday. But apparently Jackie has been divorced like twice, I think. And she's definitely a hardcore feminist. And it's like, we don't need you. We make our own money. I can't believe you have these archaic, chauvinist, misogynistic 1950s attitudes towards women. And they think that it's like this regression, but it's not a regression. It's all they couldn't, like Myron and Fresh were never going to get the explanation out, especially since Kyle was right there trying to, cock block them, essentially is what they're doing. But the thing is like, she's stupid. She's not ignorant. She's stupid. She's not willing to even have the thought to consider what it is that they're saying. And then every time there was something that she disagreed with, she had to add the caveat of, oh, but what about men? We're not talking about men here. We're talking about women on this show. That's on you. You had us come on here for this topic. This is what we're going to talk about. But of course, it's always this redirect and this reframe, and that's just that's terrestrial radio. There's not much you can really do about that. But what I thought was interesting is not just her, but the other girl who was on there, and I think the gay producer guy who was on there as well. They're all on board with this, and I thought it was the primary thing between Jackie and the girls who were on Fresh and Fit when I was on there is when they can't wrap their heads around like what they're saying, they default to, I don't want to be owned. I don't want to have a man dominate me. I don't want to have a guy who's controlling. I don't want a guy who is possessive. And but yet at the same time, they still want a guy who's in command. They still want a guy who's like strong. They still want it. It's like they want the best of like the old order and the new order. They want the guy who still has the responsibility to protect, provide, and parentally invest. But they also want him to man down after asking him to man up in responsibility. They want him to man down when it comes to authority. And that's what I think a lot of women bristle at. And right now, I think that as far as like masculine authority is concerned, I think like the guys who dare to have masculine authority are the ones who can actually enforce it. Only the top apex alpha guys can enforce it, and wealth enforces will, right? So, are you guys okay? So I know Allie is married. Allie, how old is your husband? You said Gen X, so he's like,
oh my gosh, stop it! Yeah, 40. So Tom is 50, okay, but I still think he's hot. I'm sorry, got to think for older white guys. Like my thing.
So yes. guys, right here.
Oh yeah, go get ripped. I'm a badge bunny too, and so he's been in the military service for like majority of my life, and so it's just like pre-selection to the max. Like I had cognitive dissonance when I realized he was attractive. I was like, this feels wrong. I was like, but it also feels right. Like, what am I gonna do? So that was something I had to come to terms with. And the manosphere helped with that. You guys were like, no, like older men are reasonably attractive because of what they have to offer, and especially if they physically take care of themselves. Testosterone is much kinder to men than estrogen is to women. So just stay in the gym. Like women can't help but notice a masculine man. Also, masculine authority isn't bad if you have a good, competent leader. Like my husband doesn't lead me astray. I have tried to give other men authority and it flops. And so you kind of have to part ways with that. But a lot of young men, millennial men and Gen Z men, they won't assume any type of authority at all. They won't command a presence. They just simply don't. I think they haven't come across the idea that that's attractive to women.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I there's actually a whole section in my fifth book right now where part of game is actually learning command presence. Do you guys know what command presence is? You got to know if you're dating like cops or your badge buddies or whatever. That's something that they actually teach in like police academy or whatever. And I don't do they possibly I guess in like officer training corps or something like that in the military too. But do you understand the concept of command presence?
I recognize it the most when they're like trying to shout their name and have your hands in the air or something. That's when they shout, and that's when you command presence. Am I wrong? I don't know. It's like officer something, hands in the air.
The command presence is something that I kind of picked up on very early, and I don't know that there's necessarily anything in the old school PUA about I haven't read anything by Mystery that talked about like command presence. But the reason why I'm familiar with it is because my brother was actually law enforcement. So I remember when he was going through that part where he was learning command presence, or they were trying to give him a class or training of sorts in command presence. And what it is if you are in a uniform, for example, like it was funny that when you were looking on Tinder, the guy that you like gravitate towards is the guy that's in uniform, and you had a very interesting take on uniforms, but that uniform is part of command presence. So people, when they see a guy in uniform, it presents the appearance of not only just power but also authority. So in an emergency situation, you're looking for the guy who's got the stripes and he's got the the medals and stuff like that. You're looking for the guy who's dressed with the appearance of power and the appearance of authority. That's part of it. That's just the outward manifestation of it. The other thing is that you also have to own that authority. And I think it's fascinating to me anyways that is I think a neglected aspect of game. Like guys don't even presume to be an authority. And I think maybe that's actually a pretty good question. Do you think that like guys today, and Kevin, you can answer too, do you think guys today don't presume or don't like aspire to any kind of authority? Do you think that they're like mostly just sort of go along to get along, or is it something that they can learn, or is it something that you think is natural?
Who should?
Well, I'll start it off real quick. I'll tell you this much: as a young man, I wasn't taught to assume any sort of authority with a woman or with a romantic interest, and I wasn't taught that that's what a woman inherently desires, in a way. And also, as I got older, I'll speak to this bit about you were talking about controlling a woman or how women don't want to be controlled. Yeah, on paper, it doesn't sound good. Again, like I said, when you verbalize certain things, it triggers the narrative that women have been handed, and it says to them like, "Oh, that's wrong," or "That's not right." When I was in my first relationship, I was so controlling in a needy beta way. I mean, I was a kid, give it to me, but I was so controlling in a needy beta way that from then on out, before I really, really delved into Rollo's material or learned a little bit about game strategy and male and female nature, I just thought the lesson that I took from that, which I was half learning, I was half there, but I wasn't all the way right. The lesson that I took from that is, don't be controlling, and that exudes confidence. That shows that you're alpha. But I took it to such a far extent that in my early adulthood, I'm dating women and she goes out, she's getting ready to leave, to go out dressed super provocative, like standing at the door, like, "Hey, I'm going out." And I'm like, "Hey, I don't get jealous or controlling, go for it." And it's like, "So you're just going to let me go out like this?" And so I didn't realize that there is a middle ground. A woman desires, if a woman's into you and believes that you can lead, she desires for you to control her to a certain extent. Maybe not this out of control, domineering form of control, but yeah, to women, it is sexy to a certain extent to be like, "Do your thing. I'm not so insecure in myself that every time you're out of my sight, I'm going to be afraid that you're sucking somebody's dick." But to claim like the animalistic side of us wants to, like lions in the fucking wild, like a red pill lion, wants to claim, "Hey, do your thing, but don't forget mine." You know what I mean? This is mine. So we're still going to do things a certain way.
I think there's a difference between dominant and domineering. And so I've talked about this a lot. And I always say it should feel like the merch that men have their hand behind your neck, like they're guiding you outside, just in terms of all areas, but never never any overt displays by saying you can't wear that. The woman should want to not wear that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like when a lot of men today are agreeing with the feminine, thinking it'll get them into bed with them, and it's not at all. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying this on actually just the week before they went on the Jackie O thing. I was saying exactly this. I said, look, they were talking about, women's body count. And then they were talking about, I think the biggest point of contention, or that I think the most noise that Fresh and Fit are ever going to make, is when they say a woman should not have an Instagram account if she's with the guy that she wants to be. That should, and I brought this up as well. It's like, I don't think it should ever come down to a guy saying, babe, look, I'm not cool with you having an Instagram account. That shouldn't even be a conversation between a guy and a girl who, the woman actually has like genuine, like burning, like own your soul desire for that guy. It should not even be, it should just be oh, well, I'm with you now. So I took all that stuff off. I don't want anybody else thinking that, that we're not together or whatever. It's, that should be the imperative, I think.
I think Donovan Sharp talks about this instance specifically really well, where he won't give a girl commitment because of it. So it's already established boundaries in the beginning. So if she's like, so what are we? It's either give me your phone so he can go through it, or you still have an Instagram. So it's kind of already established in the beginning. Because if you tell a woman nowadays you have to get rid of that, they would think you're nuts. They don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I think a woman who's coachable would, if it was stated, right? That's one thing that I would probably say right off the bat, or whatever, after a few weeks.
This is a good one. Where do you put that back?
Kowalski analysis.
Have the frame and charisma that cause a woman enjoyment to be around you and follow as naturally as a moon in orbit. Thank you. Oh man, that is so poetic. You're so good, Moon.
Yeah, but before Allie goes, I just mentally, I keep in this conversation, keep getting brought to the idea of what do you say and what ground rules do you verbalize versus just what you exude naturally and what falls into line naturally because of your frame. And again, what looks poor on paper versus what women inherently understand. And like I said, I continue to have some of these talking points reconfirmed to me by women. I asked a girl I was dating, I said, does it make me a misogynist if I had a committed girlfriend, if I did not allow her to go out dressed sexy? She goes, no, that doesn't make you a misogynist at all. It's problematic. She goes, I, as a woman, know if I'm in a relationship, I go out dressed provocative and a hot looking dude comes to talk to me, I'm going to entertain him. I'm going to talk to him. But then I'd say, oh, that's interesting. So what do you think of Myron Gaines? She'll go, oh, he's a misogynist. Again, it's like the presentation. It's like if it's in your face, she hates Myron Gaines. Like she continuously brings it up. I can't believe you're associated with those guys. But if when the guard is down and it's not, the narrative isn't being so challenged, it's easy to open up and show that what you desire is different from what you say versus what the narrative says.
Well,
Allie, you had something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gosh, well, 2 points. I'll come back to the Instagram after I finish this first thought. Honestly, women just need to experiment. Like more often than not, men are good. Now, are most men alpha? Sadly, no. But you can experiment with feminine acts for 2 solid weeks. Just try to be the best woman you can be and see how he responds. Like literally watch him. And if it's a positive feedback loop, like what's up, that he wants to assume authority in a positive and a healthy manner, and he's happy to lead you. And then you'll see too, like you're probably a lot happier because I don't know. I think it makes men a little bit calmer in the relationship when they kind of get that little bit of fulfillment. Like, I don't know why cooking for my husband is such a big thing and it calms him down. I don't get it. I just keep doing it because it works.
Act of love.
I guess so. He's also a very picky eater. But in terms of Instagram, so I obviously have social media. I have Instagram, I have YouTube. And for women that are using it for business, I think that's good. To use it for your private social life, I think that kind of needs to have some sort of analysis. But the easiest thing you can do is just give your man all your passwords, like put his face in your iPhone. The face scan, the thumbprint ID. Like my husband has my passwords to everything. I don't have anything to hide. The thing is that women, when they have that hypergamous doubt, they're still low key kind of man shopping. They might not be aware of it, that they're doing it, but they're too scared to commit to that guy because they think that there's something else better out there for them. And if that's the case, like cut her loose, like go let her find out. Go let her find out. It's fine.
Yeah. I think that's probably an insecurity thing with the women that keep it up. I don't know.
Well, like, see, I can't, because what's going to happen now, Tori, is like people are going to go straight over to your Instagram and they go, well, look, Tori's got ass shots here all the time. And, it's
I
like,
don't have ass shots.
She's single, right? I mean,
I try to bridge the whole. I'm not a trad con. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm not off the hook. I've done some shit, but I'm just saying, like, I think I'm trying to take all the red pill stuff, not change it, but just operate in a way that's kind of present time. But you'll never see me with an ass shot on Instagram. I'd rather just give it to whoever I'm dating and have them run it. Just like Ali said, I've said this all the time. I'm like, I don't even really post on Instagram. I just did for the first time a couple days ago. And I was like, I kind of want to delete this, but I was looking at my analytics and it was like 50% came from Instagram. I was like, what? Since when? Because that it used to not be like that. But I don't know. I try to, I got to reach the house. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know how to play the game. If you were my woman, we'd have a talk about the Instagram. Though.
If I was like an actual thought, and I say actual as in if I was somebody that slept around, that sought validation, I would see this very problematic. But the fact that the last post, aside from the one a few days ago, was probably over a year ago, I don't know. I think it was our photo, Rollo, like maybe not a year ago, maybe like 9 months ago. But the guys that message me or the girls that message me, I get way more girls. Shocker. It's always content. They want me to react to this video, that video, whatever. I think it's easy to get a hold of me there.
Yes.
I'll be honest. I'm not hardcore. Can I be judgmental as a man? Yes, but I'm not as hardcore as it may seem on the internet. I think if a woman's single and she wants to have thirst traps on our Instagram, so be it. But I think she should have a different expectation for the kind of men that she'll attract and have an expectation that's realistic for if a man wants to take that serious, or if you'd be willing to have the conversation of like, now I'm in a relationship, so now all the photos come down.
Yeah. I thought this was interesting. I keep referring back to this. I finally found the quote. This is Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling. Right? This is, kids were the furthest thing from my mind. Then Ryan Gosling happened. I mean, falling in love with him. Then it made sense for me to have not kids, but his kids. It was very specific to him. That's what I'm talking about. That right there is like, and I know that they're a celebrity couple, but that's a really good example of what I mean by like genuine, authentic, like unmitigated desire for that guy. It's not just, I want kids. Cause if it was just, I want kids, Eva Mendes is like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to have any kids. But Ryan Gosling comes into the picture. I want his kids, his babies. Yes. Suddenly I want children. And, the sad thing I think is that when, and maybe not for you guys, but like for someone who is like, say, Eva Mendez's age, who I believe she's early 40s or maybe mid 40s right now. I'm not really sure. But that it comes too late. Like, oh, I finally got with Ryan Gosling. Now finally got with the man of my dreams and I want to have babies. But like now I've got to go to a fertility clinic because I got to go, milk the last eggs I have left in the ovaries here. And I think that we do women a disservice when we say, hey, look, you know what, you might not want kids right now. You might get abortion on demand, or you might be able to freeze your eggs or whatever. But that doesn't mean you're going to be like guaranteed a Ryan Gosling. Now, so does a guy, and I'm just using this figuratively, does a Ryan Gosling automatically have like command presence? Does he automatically have authority in that situation? And do women defer to that automatically?
I would say yes. And so I found this out myself. So I don't need any sympathy from the chat. Your girl is okay. So I ended up getting pregnant from my husband. He was the first man that ever got me pregnant. I was like so excited because I want this man's genes. But unfortunately, I ended up having a miscarriage. I go through the support groups and I start looking on Facebook and I realize there are two very different schools of thought. I don't think the sisterhood exists outside of miscarriage, because even when it comes to childbirth, women are judgmental, like, oh, like, are you natural and holistic? Oh, you did it medicated. So they'll judge you, right? But some women are really just out there looking for a guy to get the job done. And that was never something that entered my mind. I specifically want to have my husband's child. Whereas like some women, they're having that issue with that fertile window. They don't even care about the male partner. They just want what they want, which is a kid to validate their own identity, their own existence, which also deprives the child of a father. So women are out here and they're really being faced with that question. So shout out to Eva Mendes for letting us know what is up. I mean, Rollo has a child. I'm sure your wife is like thrilled that it's yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the way we started, right? I tell this story all the time. Is like when I first met Mrs. Tomassi, when we were dating. If we were using her car, she would hand me the keys to the car. And she was the first woman I'd ever dated, I'd ever got with, whatever, that when we were dating and it was her vehicle, she would expect me to drive the vehicle. And it's like that set the tone for, still does to this day. She expected me to be the man, to be in the driver's seat. Like, I know that sounds like really kind of schmaltzy, but it's true. I mean, it was, she wanted, and she, you know, her dad is very alpha male guy from Texas, right? And so she had this expectation of the guy who is going to step in and you're going to be the man. That was how it was going to work. And like people would say, well, this is from a different generation, Rollo. How can you know? It doesn't matter. From 200,000 years ago when we were living in hunter-gatherer tribes to, you know, right here in 2022, the machine hasn't changed all that much. What's changed is the software. And what's changed is the technology between now and then. And I just looked in the chat here when people were saying, I'm just going to paraphrase this, but they're saying, you know, that the reason why women are the way they are right now is because of social media. So when you look at like Instagram, which is the #1 dating app on planet Earth right now, it's, and you've heard me say this before as well, is that we're not prepared for that. We're, as human beings, we have this ability to satisfy, like certainly our sexual natures. And for women, we can satisfy this need for attention and affirmation and on a moment's notice with a smartphone. And we've never in the course of human history had that like presented to us. So simultaneously at the same time, when I talk about how men's innate mating strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, that's the reason why pornography is free. That's why it's 4K streaming. Anybody can get it at a moment's notice, and it doesn't make any. I remember when you used to have to fight to go get a Hustler magazine back in the 80s, man. It was like freaking pirate's gold, man. You had your stash and you would trade it to your buddies and go, okay, here's you get this Penthouse or you get this magazine or whatever else. And then like trying to pirate like Spice Channel or whatever it is, you know, when it was back in the day when we were watching VHS tapes and stuff. And now it's instantaneous. And we're talking a level of sexuality that like Caligula, you know, Roman emperors did not have the access to. A 10-year-old kid has access to right now. And likewise, when women were looking for affirmation and they're looking for reinforcement, they're looking for community. And again, women are far more communitarian. Men tend to be hierarchical. Women are more communitarian. Now that we have this technology that facilitates all of this attention and everything else, you can see the addiction that men, I don't want to use addiction, habituation that men have with pornography and women have with social media right now. It's almost analogous, and it happens at the same time in history. And we have immediate instantaneous access to it, and it's nothing but like positive reinforcement for women. Or else like women will say, oh, I'm getting bullied. But bullied means I'm not getting the attention the type of attention that I really want. And so I think that a lot of where we're at right now and expectations that women have of men, a lot of that is sort of molded or directed by this social media like idea. Like if I get with this guy, it's great, but the attention that I get online is better than the positive reinforcement I get from having a guy in my life.
I always thought that some women hold on to their Instagrams for a tool when their boyfriend didn't act right, quote unquote. So when, let's say he was withholding attention, that's when usually you'll see the thirst traps. Am I wrong? It's a thing. So I'm like, if let's say she didn't have that anymore, that's that woman hitting the wall. No, I'm not talking about the age thing, but that wall where it's like, what? No, let's go into my frame. And he's like, you can leave or you can do it. But it's the same profound feeling. It's very uncomfortable. I don't know if you guys really know what I'm talking about. Allie probably does, but where you kind of, you have no control. So you literally have to follow, and it's uncomfortable. It's like literally like profound grief is how I explain it. It's very scary. So
women will cheat out of spite. I've read that from Dr. Helen Fisher. She's a biological anthropologist. Now she does have like a leaning toward appeasing Match.com because she works for them. But that's something that you don't really see with men. I think when men cheat, it's like out of like desperate times. Either the wife gains 150 pounds or she's not putting out, or he was like pretty much always a womanizer. But a woman will in fact cheat out of spite, or, you know, like, so what I have done in the past, I don't do this so much now, but it's almost like you want to watch like man-hating content. Like I'm telling you, it's when you get into an argument with your man, that's when the Lifetime movie comes on and the glass of wine comes out and then men become trash. And it's like in a moment, in a flash. And then once you're done having your little moment, you're like, okay, like I love him. He's cool. I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, Tori. I don't think I've thought about that before. Is that from my point, my perspective, and I think probably from like Myron and Fresh as well, like when a woman hangs on to her Instagram, or I mean, like with tooth and nail, like to suggest that she should like close out her accounts or want to close out her accounts. I think it makes women crazy because they're like, but I need the security of knowing that my pictures, my sexy pictures are up there. So in case everything goes to hell, I'm hedging my bets, right? I'm just like, that's my insurance policy is my Instagram. But then there's also what you just said is that when things go sour in a relationship or they get in an argument or whatever, they default to going and looking on social media to sort of get that reaffirmation from the global community that don't worry, he's an asshole, you're a great chick. There's that sort of sisterhood like reinforcement.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said it better.
Can I go ahead? Go ahead. No, I just can I bring this full circle for a second? Well, just in a sense, and bringing it back to the idea of women leading and how it will burden them in a way that they may not understand consciously and certainly don't understand if they subscribe to the narrative. One of the things that red pilled me in this respect is, and I don't talk about this often, but my mother, after my father got with who was my stepfather for 7 years, and he lost his job, had a nervous breakdown, and decided that he was going to be the woman and my mom was going to be the man. So he stayed home and gardened and cleaned. And my mother was the breadwinner. And my mother tried to pretend that she was okay with that. And we all watched her try to pretend it and try to verbally defend how their relationship worked. And I remember telling like a very, very feminist type friend of mine that like, yeah, my mom's like the man and he's like the woman. And she's like, oh, that's perfectly fine. That's fine. That's how they choose to run their relationship. Well, after a while, I saw it destroy my mother from the inside out. And towards the end of it, she's coming home hammered, freaking out about shit, screaming. And we'd hear her screaming, going, why am I the man? I should have a fucking cock. Why am I the man? And that relationship fell apart. But all jokes aside, as much as we enjoyed joking about that, I actually watched that role reversal in sort of an agreement because they kind of had a non-verbal agreement that, you know what, fuck it, we're going to do this non-conventional thing where we swap roles. And I watched it destroy the fuck out of my mother. And as a result of that, now her current man is a real leader.
Yeah. Well, self-sabotage for sure.
I think there's a fear of that as well. When it comes to like women who are, how old were your parents when they got together? Kev?
Oh, they might have been around Rocky's age. They might have been like 23 or so. Right.
So the reason I asked, prime, exactly. But like, you got to remember that you kind of have to put all this stuff in a context too, because whenever I'm talking with the girls on Fresh and Fit or even what was that chick Israel or Brody on when she was on there with us, we're talking to women who are like 23 years old. Guys were saying like, well, it's pointless. You hit the law of diminishing returns so quick. And I go, yeah, they do, because there's no incentive for them to actually have any kind of insight or think critically. And that girl was like 23 years old. She's only 4 years younger than both of you. And she just like lost. It's just like she's completely out and then I was on with like Coco Butte on the last Sauce cast, and she's 31. She's this side of the epiphany phase, and it's like, man, she knows that she better cash those chips in, and she's making she makes a living off of trying. Basically, what she is a rules girl. You know what a rules girl is? Maybe you guys don't remember the
I used
rules.
to be one. Are you kidding?
Yeah, the rules. Like, did you know the book, the rules, right?
Oh no, I don't know, but I would make rules for everybody.
Well, okay, so it's actually, there used to be a thing back in like the early 2000s. There was a couple of women who wrote this book. It was a co-authorship, both of which have been like divorced like multiple times. But they were writing this rules book about like, here are the things that women have to do to get, don't settle for anything less, girl. Yeah. And if you go and you look in dating right now, and the reason why I know is because The Rational Male, the Player's Handbook is now it's number 2. It was the number 1 rated book in the dating category on Amazon. Best seller, not number one new release, best seller. And the reason I went over to go and look at that, I hardly ever look at my categories, what I'm getting ranked in, but I was, because it's a new book, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm going, I wonder what other books are in the top 10. And goddamn, man, if not every single one of them, with the exception of like Aaron Clary's The Menu, almost every one of them was by a female author who was talking about why men love bitches.
I knew you were going to say it. I was waiting for it. Yep.
I think some men do, though.
I was so happy to push that.
That
I don't know,
first
Sherry
book I've
something or
ever
other. I
read.
was so happy to push her off number one, even if for just a week. It was awesome. And so, but I'm looking at the other content and it's all, don't settle for less, girl. Here's how you get the man of your dreams, girl. And here's get the man you deserve. And it's one after the other. And it's all women talking to other women about not settling, not doing this, not, here are these 12-step proven techniques to get a high value guy and keep him and make sure he's like, what is it? The proper care and feeding of husbands, that kind of stuff. How to use behaviorism to keep your man, on the hook kind of thing, and you get the man you deserve. And it's interesting because those wouldn't be there if there wasn't a demand. If there wasn't something there where women say, I'm entitled to the best of the best. I always quote the Steve Harvey show I did with that one woman who was there wondering where her Prince Charming was. And I will guarantee you, she's probably read a lot of these books, like, why men love bitches, this yada, yada, yada.
That one gives pretty good advice, though.
If you go and you look at like the self-help section of like any bookstore or Amazon or whatever else, it's all the same shit too. It's how to not settle for anything than the best of the best. So I think that there is definitely a demand for that. And it's like, what is inspiring and what is creating that demand? And when we see like women on, on Fresh and Fit, or we see them, I keep referring back to that because it's the only like frame of reference I have right now, women where they come together and have these conversations. But it's the one constant amongst all of them is they are all entitled to that high value top, apex alpha guy at the top of the pyramid. And and if they can't get it, they'll buy God knows how many books to figure out how to get it. And meanwhile, they're 23 and the clock's ticking. And the time's burning off there. And so what happens is like when they get to be like you said, is that girl Israel, that Brody girl that was on there, you're not going to tell her any different when she's at the top of her game. When she's at like 23 years old, she doesn't have insight. She's not thinking strategically. She's thinking tactically. And this
I'm sorry. What was her core argument?
Just that's what she was, she deserves the best of the best. And it's like, men are bastards because the high value men that she wants to get with would not commit. Tristan Tate.
Yeah.
You just get a regular fucking dude and we can stop having this conversation. You know what I mean?
The argument is, why aren't they stepping up? Try to explain that to her. Like it's like
Steph is cold. Is in
Steph.
There you go. Thanks, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna be on Steph's show. We're already talking about.
Oh, you're gonna be on Steph's show. Yo, Steph, text me back. Steph needed an editor. I tried to jump on that so quick. I was ready to edit his shit.
Yep. You know what made me want to do Steph's show? The fact that he just got a Charger Hellcat. That's the only part. Like, okay, he's cool. I'm gonna go do it.
I tell you, yo, Steph is bad. He is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
he really is.
He's gonna be in Miami for the CME, by the way, which is coming up on. And by the way, I think all of us are going to be at the CME, aren't we? Are you going to, Allie? You're going to.
Yeah. Yes, me and Tom go to Miami.
He's going as well, and Kev's going. You are going, Tori. You are going to go. Yes.
Maybe come with us.
What's that?
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe you'll see me there.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Wait, did you say Steph is coming?
You're going. Well, Kevin's going for sure.
Did you say? Wait, you say Steph is coming?
I think so. I'm pretty sure Steph is on the list. I know Lucario is on the list. I'm not sure who else is on there, but I know
Steph should just pop out just to pop out.
Steph should just go. Yeah, I know. If you're not speaking, at least show up. I think it'd be kind of fun to have him there. Yeah, that'd be
a lineup.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that pulled out, unfortunately. Wait till y'all see how small I am compared to everybody that's on the bill. And the only one that was going to be in my corner with me is Coach EO, 5'6", 5'7" gang. But he's no longer going to be there.
Oh, Coach EO. What about is Hotep going to be there?
Yeah, he is. I see it.
I I don't know if I should be
Remember
announcing this or not,
when-
but something came up for Hotep too. I don't know if that's like letting the cat out of the bag, but
I don't know. I don't know what the official list is right now, but I do know that I'll be there. I know you'll be there. I know John from Love Dating's there. Troy Francis is going to be there. Who else? I'm trying to think who else is going to be along as
The
well.
Thor guy.
Yeah, Red Pill Thor is going to be there. I'm trying to get. I want to get Paul Benjamin down there. I'd like to get Drew Bay. Would be a good get too. There's a lot of and by the way, 5'7" gang.
5'7" gang in this bitch.
Yes.
Actually, yo, real quick before you move on, let me tell you that Rock just texted me. I didn't even realize if you're in the Red Pill Lines Discord, cop a Red Pill line because it makes you eligible for the drawing. We're gonna fly a couple holders out to the CME, and being flown out to the CME. I mean, if you just want to meet Rollo, fantastic, but everybody's going to be there. Fresh and Fit are going to be there. Donovan is going to be there. Mr. Lucario is going to be there. Sterling Cooper is going to be there. I'm the least famous person on the bill. I will be there, but you can still say hi to me. But yeah, we're going to, by the end of the week, Rock is going to be doing the drawing to see who's coming out on us. So make sure you cop a lion if you didn't. And if you did cop a lion, you're eligible for the drawing. So keep your eyes peeled in the Discord.
So here it is. Donovan's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Let's see who else is. Ed Lattimore, who I was just on Fresh and Fit with about a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
He's great.
Kendall Kirkland's going to be there. Reality TV star and success consultant. I'm not familiar with this guy.
We did a show with him.
Yep, Myron's going to be there. Modern Life Dating John's going to be there. Terrence Pop's going to be there. Sterling Cooper, who I got. Minister Jap, who is also part of the Six. Troy Francis will be there. Dr. BOA. I'm not familiar with the guy. Oh, Lucario's going to be there. Fresh is going to be there. George Bruno's going to be there. Kevin Savo is going to be there. And Red Pill Thor is going to be there. And I know that those are just the confirmed ones right now, but I know that there's a lot more as well. I know that is an incomplete list. So
there's some dudes that want to come down and hang with BOA. BOA is like the rapping forte of the manosphere. He's just like
and I'm finally going to, and probably against my better judgment, I'm finally going to introduce Torshaa to Justin Waller.
Oh my God, the ginger archetype.
Yes, and
Love
he is 6'3", so there you go. Let's have a look at this real quick because I promised myself I would at least go through some of this part right here.
Instagram, or are you saying that just women who are in a relationship and are posing in their bikinis or doing any kind of sultry sort of stuff, they're the ones that shouldn't have Instagram?
Well, if you're in a serious committed relationship with a guy and you have sexy photos of yourself on the internet, Instagram is just one medium that you can do it. Yeah, it is cheating.
Cheating, like, what about the guy? Is he, if he's in a relationship, is he allowed to have Instagram?
Well, we're different. We're not in our undies.
Sorry, Cole. I don't think I was asking you. I was asking these guys.
Well, see how it is over here. Let me ask you.
Do you think she's used to like schooling men? Do you think that like talking over them and like schooling this guy is like something she does on the regular?
Yeah, I would have been like, I'm not your husband.
Yeah,
I would have been like, I'm not your husband, bitch. I'm your co-host. I get paid to be here. You want to sit the fuck back a little bit?
That is some shit right there. Yeah, because
I have a theory.
Okay.
I think that progressive women don't know how rude they are. Like, seriously, like they just act so out of pocket and it's like a casual conversation and you're looking at her like, do you realize that you just threw like a right and a left at me? And she has no clue. It just goes over their head.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta get to this because this dude came up with a good one. Ladies, question. What's it like when you go on a date with a guy who's red pill aware versus a guy who isn't? Man, this is a good one. Thank you for this. What are the differences and do you exploit the blue pill guys? Laughing my ass. They should be. Should they be? Maybe they should be. Haha, SO2, Steph is cold. Yeah, shout out to, okay. And super young and super red pill. Yes. So that's actually a good question. Like, what's the difference between, and maybe Tori's a better one to ask here. What is it like to go on a date with a guy who's red pill aware versus a guy who isn't?
I mean,
have you dated a guy who was like, okay, I know this guy knows the game?
I've only dated one person in the past 2 years or something like that. So to go back to when I was thinking prior to red pill, I would never go on a date with somebody just to use them. They would come to my work. It wasn't like we would go on dinner dates. I'm terrified of those, to be honest with you. But no, like now the guy that I'm seeing, he watches Red Pill. So it's been helpful because I'm masculine. And so he's training my ass. You know, it's been a great time.
What about you, Allie? I know your husband is certainly reads my books, but like as far as like dealing with like, maybe a better question is like dealing with a guy who you know is red pill aware, but like is certainly understands the game versus a guy who is like wants to, I guess, identify with the feminine would be a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I could talk about that in a couple of different ways. I can talk about dating, or I can talk about the other masculine men whose authority I submit to, because like submission is not, it's not just with my husband. Like if I'm working with a business professional and that man knows something more than I do and he's there to help me and he's not there to take advantage of me, like obviously I'm going to like submit to that authority because it makes sense and it's effective. But what I will say is that like I've been on dates with blue-pilled men, and it's like they're cosplaying a man, you know what I mean? Whereas like my husband, it's very direct. He chooses the place, he chooses the time, he pulls my seat out. If my food is messed up, he's like quick with it. He's like, no, this is what we paid for. This is what we would like. And it's like, it's a lovely experience. It's like such a flex. But I've never used men for dates because I don't want to go on a date with a guy that I don't want to sleep with. To me, that's just ridiculous. But I think I have used blue-pilled men's like for attention, for friendship, right? And now I know that men are only friends with women that they find attractive, right? So now that I know that that's like taking advantage of a guy.
Yeah,
it is.
I've never had guy friends ever.
So those are the differences for me. It's a much more pleasant experience.
It's funny. It's kind of analogous to what I was talking about in my 5th book. There's a chapter called "The Utility of Beta Men." And this is not from a female perspective. This is guys who are players. And I mean players in the sense that they understand game and they understand that, you know, hey, here's how I'm going to get with the chick, right? But to be able to sort of use like the ineptness of beta men to sort of build up your own value. And there's a technique, definitely an art to it. And a lot of guys think, well, that's unethical, that's immoral. Why would you ever do something like that? That's like throwing a guy under the bus. It's like, well, he's doing it. He's going to do it whether I take advantage of it or I don't. And there's a utility, I think, for guys who are like red pill aware, dealing with knowing that there's guys maybe they're working with or going to school with, whatever else, who kind of like step on their own dicks. And then to be able to sort of capitalize on that and go, well, I'm not like, sometimes all you got to do is just keep your mouth shut, let him be mediocre. And then a girl thinks you're like you're the shit. Right. So there's always going to be sort of that, especially amongst guys, there's always going to be that hierarchical, you know, power imbalance, I guess. But sometimes you don't even have to do anything to amog a guy. Sometimes they got to just shut up and let him hang himself.
Do you guys agree, ladies? I've never liked that tactic. I've never liked the tactic of. I think it's rather immature when a dude has to point out another dude's faults in order to look good in a woman's eyes. I think even if you're pointing out the attributes of a blue pill guy. And in a way trying to signify to her, oh, I'm not like that. Like, you know, I'm a little more red pill. Obviously not putting it in those terms, but I don't think your essence speaks for itself, right?
I think if a guy, like, are you talking like if another guy is trying to come up to a girl you're talking to steal her?
No. I'm talking about like Tori, I'm dating you and you're telling me about your ex who is beta as fuck. And instead of me just listening, I'm like, oh, I ain't got that problem. You know, that's not how I do. You know, it's corny, right?
Yeah. It's like you should not. It's almost like you should never compliment a girl, but by putting down the other girl. It's like the same concept, kind of. I think it's just in
a way, yeah, it's reversed. It's you're trying to show that you have value by telling her you have more value than another man, when you should just your essence and your frame should just say that without words.
I think it's also really horrible that the girls talk shit about their exes for him to even have an opportunity to say anything about that guy. Well, so I don't know.
Well, that's like a woman's favorite fucking thing to do in the fucking world. So
I've not hear me say it. I think that's wrong.
That's Kevin, and actually Tori too. You guys are getting on to the reason why I put Iron Rule of Tomassi number 4, which is never talk about your your notch count, more or less.
Yeah.
Right? And this was advice. It was this iron law iron rule that I was putting out there at the time, because there were so many guys and I still think maybe even to this day, there's so many guys who thought that like by leading with, hey bitch, I've had like 50 or 60 chicks, I'm the shit, you're gonna want to fuck me, right?
Yeah, like
That's
game or whatever.
Yeah, say, oh, I went with this chick, I went with that chick. And by the way, this is not like something I just pulled out of my ass. This is like straight out of like, mystery method era PUA, right? You don't want to lead with your notch count. And that's what guys thought, that doing so was like sort of this form of game. It was going to, like, by humble bragging about your sexual exploits in the past, that was going to put you up that much more with that chick. And usually when women are asking men, like, how many chicks have you ever slept with? That's a shit test is what it is. It's a value test to see whether or not like other women find you attractive and want to bang you. But the thing is guys see that and they think of, oh, well, yeah, I've fucked a whole bunch of girls. I have 1,400 just now.
I cannot believe that rule. I can't believe that rule ever got misconstrued by anyone, because you could make the
correct it.
Please, you could make the technical argument, and this is the technical argument that's been made by some, is that isn't there a difference between saying don't lead with your sexual history to try to show a woman that you have value because it's corny, and simply don't ever tell a woman your body count just for no reason. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I don't think there is any context in which a man tells a woman that he slept with a lot of women or that he has value for X, Y, and Z reason that does not come across as showboating, as trying to show her that you have value or that other women want you. I just don't think there's a way that it doesn't come across corny. I mean, even if it's not said in a braggadocious way, like, I don't get it. Hi, Tori. I'm Kev. I've slept with 40 women. How does that not make me sound like a douchebag? Where is that appropriate? I just don't get it.
The only time it's appropriate is if you're a porn star and you're just telling them that you used to do that for a living. That's the only time.
Her name is Sterling Cooper.
Sterling Cooper. Yeah, that's really it, though.
I can't wait to meet him.
That's Sterling's theme song right there.
Hey.
Let me throw this one up really quick. I keep getting rejected from both women and jobs. I'm 24. Any words of encouragement?
Women ain't shit. They're literally, they don't mean shit. Work on your purpose. You're almost going to get your hair on. That's all my advice.
Yeah. I wanted to point out that, whenever I'm talking about the iron rules, it's funny to me that like everybody fixates on those iron rules, and I knew they would, because they always have. You got to remember where the iron rules came from. They came from a decade of talking about those topics on So Suave, on alt fast seduction, on you name the seduction community, where we've had those conversations. That's where those came from. And people want to say it's Rollo's 9 rules for life. No, it's not. In fact, there's a reason why I never string them together. You will not, by the way, you will not find all of those, all of my iron rules strung together like they are in the book on my blog, nor will you find them strung together in So Suave. And I did that on purpose, because I didn't want people to think, oh, I followed these 9 simple rules and I'll get laid. No, that's not what I was trying to imply in there. It was just these constants that we kept seeing that people needed to be reminded of. That's why I put those out there. And one of those, of course, was like leading with your body count. And that I think a lot of guys thought that, and here's the logic anyways. The logic is this, is that if a guy is good with women, if a guy is alpha, if a guy is the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang, that guy doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to lead with that, because you can say, okay, this guy, like, just by his behavior, his attitude, his mannerisms, his demeanor, the choice of words he uses, how he interacts with people, whether it's other men or it's other women, you can get, like, women are way more sensitive. They have a higher like faculty, I guess, for communication, and they understand that. They understand your sub communications that guys often don't even know. But the minute you go, yeah, man, I had 12 girls this weekend, right? That, and then suddenly suddenly you're incongruent. That's why that rule exists.
I don't see the reason.
Family know you're lying.
Yeah, I don't see the reason in telling a woman about your sexual past. I don't see any benefit that it has. So to disprove, I don't even want to say that theory, but that rule to say, well, maybe technically you'll come across a woman who isn't bothered by you expressing how many women you've slept with. It's still irrelevant to the fact that that doesn't help anything. That doesn't benefit your situation in any way. You could take it on that
Being
technical
honest.
basis. Well, yeah, but you could take it on that technical basis, but I don't agree with the honesty point. I don't agree with the it establishes honesty and trust because that still has nothing to do with her. I just don't see what it lends to your situation.
Because when people don't read the book and they just read the rules, they literally are going based off the text. It's like, I don't think that you should be lying to your girl because omission is still lying by default, by definition. So they're taking it like that. But I've tried to say multiple times it has to deal with game. That's why the year the book is published and all the stuff that came before it is really important. It's like it was a different time, just like if somebody
Context. Yes.
Yeah. Like
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Allie?
Well,
Before
I was gonna say, yeah. Well, I wanted to know. I did want to know, but it was like this evolution of thought. Well, because it was
Why
like
did you want to know? Why did you want to know?
well, he was too good. I was like, where did this come from? Like, this
He's
is
a man.
suspicious. Well, I was very sexually ignorant, and so I wanted to know, and I would ask him for a long time. He didn't tell me. Eventually, I think, what is it, like maybe a month ago, he finally told me, and I was like, oh, I was right, but it was right on his part for him to wait because I was sexually ignorant. So if he would have told me that at the beginning, I would have freaked out. It'd been like, I can't compare to these 304s. But my husband had to sit me down many times, and he's like, no, like you don't need to perform like them. I just want you to perform like my wife. I'm like, okay, great, because women get intimidated a little bit by that if you run into some of us that aren't experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
That on Saucecast, and I got ripped for that one.
After you found out, did you have a different opinion of him, or did you did anything change?
Well, I think I just got proved right. I understood that, and I think I just tried to leave it at that. But I was just trying to figure out, like, why is this guy's technique so on point? Like, I don't get it. So that was it. Don't view him any differently, I don't think. I think it's good social proof, right? But I also think, like, dang, maybe shouldn't have been in a frat. Like, that was a lot.
What were you saying, Torshaa?
No, I remember I was saying the same thing on Saucecast, and the people in the comments were like, how could you think that? And Adam was like, it's not about your performance. Women don't get performance anxiety. And I was like, yeah, they do if they have not fucked a lot of dudes. Absolutely.
Okay, competition anxiety, yeah.
Not competition anxiety. It's like you're not worthy enough. You're not experienced enough. The sex is like the most important thing to a guy. If we can't perform like your other hoes that you were banging, we feel inadequate. It's absolutely a thing.
I totally believe that.
I'm going to quote Sterling Cooper here, former male porn star.
And companion.
Here's Sterling Cooper. Being good in the bedroom is the most honest signal of pre-selection there is. If you know your way around a woman's body better than she does, then she knows that you fuck.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Why would you want, and especially if you're not good at sex, you're setting yourself up by telling a girl, yeah, I've slept with 40 women. And it's like, yeah, they didn't fucking teach you much because you're horrible.
Yeah. Here's how you answer that question. You dick her down real good. Does that not answer? Does that if you know your way around, if you know a woman's body, if you know clearly, if you got to that point where you've been rewarded with sex enough times that when you're with with your husband or you're with the next boyfriend that you're getting with, and that guy knows his way around, do you really need to ask?
I just
assumed they've been dating is it implied in the performance?
Yeah, no, but Tori made a great point, because this is how I break it down for women when they're curious about this or when they're offended by it, because people get the idea, or certainly women have had that idea, that if a man is insecure about the number of partners you've had, that he's just deeply insecure. I mean, everybody has insecurities to a certain extent, but I would argue that women, exactly like Tori said, if you had found out that your man's past 5 lovers looked like Pamela Anderson, how secure do you feel right now? Because it mentally puts you in competition with sort of like the history of the past lovers. In a way, that's what retroactive jealousy is. It makes you feel like you are competing with his past lovers. And for a woman to feel like, am I as sexy? Am I as exciting? Do I do the same things for her, for him that these women did? So it tends to go both ways a little bit.
Oh, this is a good question. Aston Martin, I remember this too. Aston Martin used to have a car ad. Gosh, I used to
my
have
thumbnail. I used it on a video.
Because you know you're not the first, but do you really care? That's for their pre-owned cars, right? That describes how women feel about men's sexual past.
Yes.
Always better to just let them imagine. Demonstrate. Demonstrate. Do not explicate. Right. That's why I always say, like if a woman asks you, like, how many women have you been? It's honestly, it's a shit test, first of all, and then men who understand well enough that it is a shit test will know how to play that, and that's the real.
Amplify.
Yep. Oh wow! Did I get Sarah in? Sarah's in too. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I like her.
No, this is turning into The View.
It's just you and me, Rollo.
Yeah, it is. I thought that was pretty good. Sarah, do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? What is? I should read it again. But the best way to understand, like, best DHV a guy has is knowing his way around a woman's body. Are you there?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Did you pick up the last of that?
No. What was the last of that?
I was just gonna say, is like according to Sterling Cooper, and as far as like talking about like a guy, have you? Maybe we should start with this. Sarah, have you ever asked a guy like how many chicks he's been with?
No.
His body count is?
No, I wouldn't want to talk about that. No.
Would you want? You don't want to know, or
no?
Like,
I don't want to know.
Wanted to know in the past.
No. No, I wouldn't want to know. I caught what the girls were saying. That would be super intimidating. I wouldn't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Avoidant. Me and Sarah are the same.
But you can tell. You can definitely tell.
You can
Sarah has her own podcast. Sarah, introduce yourself real quick, just so my audience knows who you are.
I'm Sarah. I'm a business owner from Spokane. I own some lingerie coffee stands. That's probably where I get some of my perspective from. And I have my own podcast, and I'm an author. Mm-hmm. And Rollo is my relationship analyst.
Yeah, analyst. I like that. Going with that one. And she's a groupie too.
Yeah, definitely a groupie.
There we go. All right, let's get back to this right quick. I want to throw this one out here. Let's go back. I wanted to make sure that I got this one out here.
Does that apply to the question that I asked when I said
so
two guys?
Let me get to it. So the reason why is because we have differing sexual strategies. Men want quantity, women want quality. So our sexual strategies are literally opposing each other. So men want to be able to get with as many girls as possible, right? Unlimited sexuality. Shout out to our guy Rollo Tomassi. We talk about this in detail. Versus women, I say women want typically unlimited security from the best man that they can get, versus men want to get the most women they can get. So it's been that way since the beginning of time. Powerful and strong men have had hordes of women, and then women align themselves with the strongest men. So we don't play by the same set of rules, and our sexual strategies influences how we view the world, how we view the opposite gender, how we try to procreate with each other. We're very different. So what men can do, women can't necessarily do sometimes. So we're not the same. And it's just unfortunately a double standard that does not benefit women for once.
Sorry, so just going back to that question that I asked, can a man be on Instagram in a relationship, but not a woman?
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Why?
Well, does it depend on the content that they're putting out? Like, if I'm shirtless on Instagram, like showing me big fat man boobs and gyrating around a sexy dance, that would be cheap. What if I was just on there talking about, fitness apps and stuff? That's a whole different vibe. So it's content related, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't think people understand this, that a man even a man that's extremely good looking is not going to get nearly the amount of options that a woman that's mediocre.
Are you kidding?
True.
No, that is so not true. Do you know how many hot guys get DM'd on Instagram?
Oh, we're not talking about DMs. We're talking about real life benefits,
you're
being
not. You're
served
talking about
first at the shop and stuff like that.
I'm talking about Instagram. You're saying a man can go on Instagram in a relationship and it not be considered cheating.
So, okay, I'm going to get one of my guys to show you guys something. But yes, a lot of women are unaware of this. But men, unless they're in the top 2% of looks and aesthetics and everything else like that, they get virtually no play in online dating sites, Instagram. Men don't get as much sexual attention as women think. The issue is that women see the world through their view, they think I get a lot of attention, so attractive guys must be getting a lot of attention too, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
They are, though.
Men do not get nearly the same amount of
but
sexual
they're
attention.
still getting it. So I don't understand.
Not as much as there's a lot of sexy girls
just
online.
because a girl might get, let's say 50 DMs that have guys wanting to date her, and the guy gets 20 DMs, yes, there might be a little difference there, but they're still getting hit on by
Let's
females.
get back to the old nightclub rules. Let's get back to the nightclub. If you're at the nightclub, and the boys have talked about this on the Fresh and Fit podcast, boys will line up and will stand there for ages.
I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to show you guys something real quick.
Okay.
On the screen right here, we have a chart from OkCupid. And this illustrates that even the most attractive men in the light blue are not even are barely competing against girls in the mid-range.
It's not even half. It's not even half the level, right?
Not even half of the messages.
There's so many better data sets they could have used, but I mean, this was effective enough. But I here's where the reaction starts with her.
Received. Yeah. Now that's on a dating site. On Instagram, this is even more pronounced. Okay, and this doesn't account for the Plenty of Fish data, the Tinder data that we have. Men do not get nearly as many options as women, and even if we're talking about top tier guys, they still cannot compete. Men and women are not the same. We're not blank slate equals.
No, I know they're not the same.
Very different. Hold on, let me finish, please.
You're just not you're not actually proving your point very well.
I literally have a chart on the screen proving that women get far more attention.
You've got a chart
than
from
men
a
do on
dating
internet.
site that says women get more attention. Yes, that's obvious. But the point you made was that women should not be allowed on Instagram if they're in a relationship because of the attention they get. And you're kind of saying that guys can.
So, question for you.
All right, so let me pull that out real quick. I'll come back to that because I don't want to let Fresh get too deep in that one. But I think what the biggest problem that she has, and this is actually why I wanted to have all you guys on here, was I think her points. The reason why she found this so offensive was the allow part. Like, let me keep my Instagram. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it's that authority kind of thing. It's like if you're with a guy and the guy says, get off your Instagram or we're done. Or if you're on Instagram and guys are messaging you and you're selling ass on Instagram, then you are effectively cheating on me. Essentially, is what they're saying, because you're just advertising your sexuality to really the global sexual marketplace. I think Myron and Fresh could have put it in better terms, but essentially that's where they were going with this. And I think that the offense of this and the offense of when we were talking about it on Fresh, when I was on with Fresh and Fit, the last after hour show that I did, was the idea that women would submit, right? And I don't know if that's really a good term, because I think when you bring up the Bible or something, wives submit to your husbands, right? When you bring up female submission, that's when women lose their shit. And I know, for instance, like Sarah, you own your own business. You have your own stuff. You've been featured in, what is it, Women in Business magazines and stuff like that. And it's usually this, here's what I've done. Here's my accomplishments, and all of my accomplishments are as a result of being a quote unquote strong, independent woman. And so therefore, when you get back into the sexual marketplace, submitting or finding a guy who has the gravitas, but has the alpha energy, whatever it is, like the guy who is above you, who is the guy you admire, the guy who is respected, the high value man, it becomes not so much a question of a want, but why am I doing these things? Why do I want to submit to this guy? Like that Aston Martin ad, for instance. It becomes a part of allowing that woman. Who's going to allow who? It's almost like an unspoken power struggle that happens before the relationship even happens. So and the reason why she freaks out later on in this is because it's this presumption that the man is the authority, that the man is the one who's going to say, no, you can't do that, or yes, you can do that. And so prior to even getting into that relationship, there's already that power struggle between the two of them. And so I think that when we talk about submission, or like I think I've mentioned this to you as well, Sarah, and I'm pretty sure Tori and Allie have heard me say this before, is like when a woman is in a position of like, okay, I make my own damn money, I've got my career going, I've got my college education, I'm being featured in Women in Business magazines for example, that to become submissive, to become feminine it's like, it's an alien thought, it's like it goes against it's antithetical to who you are as a person. And to have somebody suggest that you need to do this, like I've said before, it seems like guys, when I give advice, it seems like you're dumbing yourself down. Like you have to dumb yourself down for people, for men who you don't trust in the first place. Or in this case, like in the interview here, there later on before the flame out, it's all about well, you're possessive, or you're domineering, you're a user, and you're borderline abusive because you won't let me do the things that I want to be able to do. And I think it would have probably been more effective had Myron and Fresh said, well, why do women want to do that? That would have been a great question to ask these, and anyone really, but certainly in this interview here. Why do you want to keep them there? Is it because you're in, like Allie, for instance, you have to keep your Instagram going. Well, Tori too, as well, because you're in a business right now where you're online and it's social media. But there's a difference between promoting yourself online and selling ass pictures online, so that your ego and your identity is sort of reinforced because through views and likes and sub count and everything else that comes along with that. So my question then is this, do you think that particularly women today, there's already this sort of precondition not to submit, or to think of submission as sort of like a failure? Anybody?
Yeah, I think that's where women are. They're starting off with that. I mean, I've already kind of made my bed, and I am where I am, and I have small children now that I have to care for and provide for. And so I'm not really going to change my direction. I think that it would take a very strong masculine man, and I would then be willing to, potentially take his lead. Whether or not I'm going to get that man at this point that's the question. But I think that it's definitely now preconditioned. And that's why I love your guys' movement so much, because I'm very anti-feminist movement. I think that it's the breaking down society to a level that, I mean, I don't even know if we can turn it around. But women they're raised with that attitude already.
Yeah. This was pretty good too here. And I've said this before. Thank you for this. Was it blue pill unplugged? Women instinctively bristle at any suggestion that men have any authority to establish boundaries or expectations. How dare they?
Yeah, I mean, well, have you seen your average man trying to assume authority? Like, why would I follow you? I was in the United States Army, and this conversation about women going into combat, like most men can't even go into combat. So like, why should I trust you with your leadership? But if you focus on yourself and you build yourself up, you should be pretty squared away. Like women notice a masculine man. But I think when it comes to submission, that's more of a socioeconomic status conversation. Because if you're gonna take a woman out of poverty and try to convince her that men are trustworthy and that they will financially support you and emotionally support you, she's just going to freak out about it. Like it's a huge leap of faith. And that was something that I had to do. Well, I decided to take the leap of faith. I try to live my life high risk, high reward. So I quit my job to see if my husband, my then fiance, was going to do what he said he would do. And he did. And most women won't even do that. They won't even like just take the chance, see if it works out, because they feel like they have to punish themselves if they get had or get played. And really, like if you're a feminine woman and you're out there and you're just trying to do a good thing, you don't need to, rake yourself over the coals because a relationship failed. Like, just try again. A masculine man is going to notice that. But yeah, it's a negative connotation. And I've seen women, they swear that they don't submit to their husbands, but they're out there cooking and cleaning, making sure he has food on the table. So they just don't want to admit it.
I've been when I was doing the research and the sort of the groundwork for my fourth book, Religion. One of the things I thought was really interesting was sort of depending on the religion and they nationality, ethnicity, and whatever it was, is the difference in intersexual relationships between men and women in different religions is there's this presumption of authority, like men are the head of the household, and we always say, man up, but man down when it refers to me when it benefits women, right? And so what I can remember being in like hearing these sermons, and there would be a guy who was talking about, like, he would talk directly to the women of the congregation. He would say, women, you need to allow him to lead. You need to allow him to be the head of the household. You need to allow him to do this. And it's reminiscent of what I'm hearing here, right? Instead of, but it's the other way around, right? So when I heard that, I'm like, well, if you're going to use, and words mean something, right? If you're going to use the term allow, it already presumes that there's a position of authority that the woman has, and she's going to give him some of that authority by allowing him to lead. But don't worry, you can just take the reins back anytime you want to. And I think that even just the presumption of authority on women's parts, even on the part of a male, preacher, pastor, or whatever, that already kind of tells you where their mentality, the zeitgeist of men and women were at that time. So, anyway.
Can I make a different point real quick?
Huh?
Real quick, just a different spin on this. The further and further I've delved into red pill misunderstandings and debate, the more I'm disenchanted by it, for not even people that disagree with red pill talking points that they understand. It's for the lack of nuance. It's for the fact that in an all-out argumentative society where we have 24 access to everybody around the world's opinions, a lot of it has to rely on lack of nuance and twisting people's literal speech without realizing that there's nuance in conversation that's part of conversation, which is why we understand that women get upset about how things sound versus what they mean and all the rest of it. But when I hear that interview, I'm not even thinking about it with due respect. I'm not even thinking about some of the terms you guys are thinking about it on. I'm just thinking about the fact that when this woman got so upset that Myron said just the notion that, oh, you own your woman, it's like, have a little nuance instead of taking something literally for the sake of having an argumentative point and looking like the hot shot that took down Fresh and Fit when nobody listens to your goddamn radio station. Have a little nuance. When I pull in my woman close and I say, you're mine, right? Like, you're mine. You're my woman. She knows I don't mean you're just like my desktop computer that I own and have purchased. She understands that. Like, have a little fucking nuance. Everything is that. Stop taking people's literal words and challenging them for the sake of a fucking radio show.
Anytime they bring that up, I just say, bring up the argument where there's polygamy or whatever. And then they're going to, like, if ask a woman, do you want to get married? And if they say, yeah, be like, well, would you be okay with an open relationship, but you're not fucking anybody? And then watch what she says. That's when women get possessive. 100%.
Yep. I got Mac and I got Mackenzie's in the house. Nice. If you won't take the chance, you're not attracted. Meaning, like, if you're not going to give essentially, I think she's agreeing with Allie right now. If you're not willing to take that chance, then are you really that hot for that guy? Are you Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling, or are you just kind of like, I'll just get into the shallow end of the pool first, right?
Well, when women are in the workforce, they're forced to be masculine. So I understand why they don't fall into the feminine. I understand. I'm not saying it's right.
Well, nobody takes any issue with women being possessive. Nobody takes any issue with that.
I'm not talking about possession. I'm talking about.
No, but I was just making. I know, but I was just making that point randomly. If I had a girlfriend and she said, you're my man, right? Like, you're mine. Wouldn't it be the most ridiculous thing in the world if I said, like, what? Oh, you purchased me like a vehicle? Standard. It's the stupidest shit in the world. I don't get big on complaining about double standards, but again, have a little nuance, and 80% of this fucking argumentative bullshit goes away. Sorry for getting amped up about that, by the way.
No, and it's true, because like they get into that.
On a roll.
Dating somebody, right? Should you be on a dating app?
Not on a dating app, no.
Okay, perfect. So do you know, right? Instagram is one of the biggest dating apps in the world.
Yeah, I get that, but it's also an app where people like to share other things. It's not all just thirst traps, right? So if you're in a relationship, not every girl is posting a picture of herself in a bikini. So
here's the problem,
aren't they?
No.
If there's two scenarios here.
What's funny is when I did this yesterday, I'm like, okay, everybody stop. Go to Instagram and look at all the girls you follow on Instagram. If they're in bikinis. It's like one after the next.
Right? A guy posts a picture of himself, let's say abs, shirtless, right?
Yeah.
He gets attention. A girl posts a picture or a story or a post, right? She gets attention.
Yeah.
The problem is that attention is way outskilled, and it's going to be sexual because off rip, what do guys want? They want to look at pictures and take a shot at the girl. That's it. Girls may say, oh, he's cute, he's handsome, but they're not gonna really approach him like, oh, I want you. It's like, okay, cute, hard eyes, and that's it. Girls are gonna go after it like in a different way, we're saying.
And also we're specifying that when she has sexy photos of herself on the internet and she's in a relationship, that is cheating. That is disrespectful to the man.
Okay, what if the guy is posting a shirtless top and he's in a relationship? Is that cheating?
You know, so yeah, you'll notice that the first thing they go back to is like, ooh, men do it too, right? It's always a reframe of like this want for a sort of an intersexual balance. You know, men and women are, because just by her saying that, well, what if a man does it? Then you're saying that men and women are the same. Just even the thought of thinking like, okay, well, you know, what about this guy? What about you? What if you're going to talk about women? You got to talk about men. No, we're talking about women in this case. And I think that if they had just addressed it from a statistical standpoint, that would have been a very good idea. The other part would be because they can't really argue against the stats. And then, yeah, exactly. And then get back to genuine desire. Why is it so important? And you could put it on her too. Why is it so important for women to keep that sexual advertising going? And again, as I said before, at no other time in human history have we had the ability, or have women had the ability to get attention on this scale. And so when you here's probably a better question for you for the ladies here is why do you suppose it is so important for women, you know, either attached or unattached, to fight tooth and nail to want to keep their Instagram even after they've either got married or they're in a relationship?
Well, your girlfriends are going to think you're a loser. If you get rid of your Instagram for your man, then there's something wrong with you. Like, why would you do that? It's like a betrayal to the sisterhood, if that makes sense. And that's what women don't like the most. It's like I said, girlfriends aren't real. So if you want to get along with other women, you kind of have to have a feminist predisposition, because otherwise you rustle too many feathers. They just like don't want to be your friend. That's all it's about. Like, women, just drop your girlfriends. Like, you don't need them. Like, go get you a man. Forget them.
I gotta introduce Torshaa to Mackenzie at some point.
She made a fantastic point earlier. She makes good points in the chat there.
Yeah. She's very smart. And by the way, she's also married, and I believe she's 25, Mackenzie, 26 maybe.
Oh yeah, she made her bet.
You guys, I have a perspective here on that, but and I learned this from the Red Pill movement, was women always have a backup plan. And I think that is definitely taking their potential backup plans away. I've been talking to my sisters and some other women about this, and they're like, no, I don't have a backup plan. And I'm like, no, you have the guy. Even whether you're in touch with them or not, you know who you would approach if something happened to your relationship. And every single one of them agree.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's brand identity. I think that's what it is. I think it's a sense of identity now.
Yeah, that too.
It's like we're Cyclops. What is it called? Or cyborgs. I forget which one it is, where your phone is literally you. Like, we're cyborgs.
Yeah, you are your own brand. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you take away a part of that for a guy that hasn't given you just a relationship, maybe you're married. It's like women are like, how dare you?
I got another. Maybe this is a question for Tori. Remember when we were on Adam Sosnick's show and we were talking about the soft launch?
Oh my gosh! It was. You guys both shook me.
Why is that a thing? I had no idea that there was
the wrong person.
I knew it was a thing. I just didn't know it had a name or a term for it.
I'm sure it's equivalent to a woman that wants to post her actual boyfriend to show that she is picked, kind of like an engagement ring. Like, I am picked. So if she soft launches, this is the only thing I could conceptualize. If she soft launches, it tells all the other guys, ex-boyfriends, here, I'm not necessarily tied down, but somebody wants to. That's the only thing I could come up with.
So how would you, are you guys familiar with the soft launch?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Okay. You know, so tell us what a soft launch is, Tori.
It's where, correct me if I'm wrong, it's you could be out with a guy, but you take a picture of both of your plates of food, but you don't necessarily show the guy. And if you do, it's like his hand. And it's just like an intro. It's so weird. I think it's strange. That's it, right?
I see it as, so what basically what it is like if you're on your social media, in this case Instagram, you're just showing your hand like holding another guy's hand at the beach. And really what it is it's in some ways I think it's so the soft launch is like you don't want to show him because you're going to lose market capital as a woman if you do that. Meaning that if you show the guy straight off the rip and say, here's my new boyfriend, we're official right now, that's different than if you're trying to sort of generate attention from your girlfriends going, oh, whose hand is that? Whose foot is that? Who's, where are you eating this? Or like you're saying, if it's a plate of food and you're just showing him from the waist, you don't show the face, it's just from like the waist or the chest up kind of thing. And you're on a date or something that's going to generate like interest and buzz and you're going to get a high off of that from social media. However, why not simply just put the guy on there and delete off all of your sexy pictures from Instagram? We talked about that on Fresh and Fit, like at the after hours thing. But I was going to say is that, so why would something like that exist if it weren't that women were like, they didn't want to make it official and they didn't want to lose what I've said in the past is like market capital. And I mean that in the terms of like sexual market value. So if dating is brand management in the 21st century, then putting your face on there with a new guy, you lose capital because what happens is the guys who your male orbiters or whatever, and if your ego is measured, like I said, in views and in subscription and subs and everything else and likes, whatever you want to call it, and you lose that as a result of posting that guy's picture on there. Of course, there's going to be such a thing as a soft launch, but also it sort of says, I don't know that this guy is actually the real guy. I don't know. I'm not so confident enough that I want to get with this guy. What Mackenzie was just talking about a minute ago, which is like, if you're really into him, then the attraction's there and you're going to want to show him off.
I don't know if certain guys understand there's a difference between her bragging about you and bragging about the fact that she's simply been chosen almost for clout in a way.
I think women are just more like men now. So it's pre-selection in the way that a man would do it. That's the way that I see it. It's like, look, I'm going out and trying to pick up women with girls. Because I tell guys all the time, if you post your girlfriend, you will get way more DMs from girls. It's a thing. So I think women just swap the roles with dudes. That's the way I see it.
The social proof thing, like she said.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. It's like it's a last ditch effort, right? So it's a soft launch, like we're not too serious. So if you wanna swipe me from him, like we could probably work something out like that. That's what I think. It's that hypergamous doubt.
Hypergamy's a bitch.
I just showed the whole.
Here's a good question: is the soft launch some weird form of social proof for women?
I think so.
Yep.
You think so?
It's exactly what it is, right?
Okay, so I would say it's half and half. I think you're correct, but I think there's also the element of I don't want to lose market capital. I don't like it's like a guy putting on if a woman has a wedding ring on, right? Then you go, okay, well, I'm going to stay away from that. Or if a woman gives you like the boyfriend disclaimer when you're like talking her up or something like that, it's sort of like I've got a boyfriend, and me and my boyfriend, when we were at the beach the other day, like we were inserting it into like casual conversation. It's very similar, I think, at least in mental terms of like saying, okay, I'm not available to you. Whereas like when you're doing a soft launch, you don't want to commit just to this one guy, but you want to say, hey, I'm sort of, you still want the attention, or maybe things are going to happen, rather than putting that guy immediately into your feed. Now, my last question was this, so if Fresh and Fit and the rest of these guys are talking about like how a woman not taking her sexy pictures off of Instagram is a form of cheating, what about this? And I know how they would answer it, but I'm going to ask you guys this is, what if you get with a guy and he has an Instagram as well, and he's got pictures of his ex where he's with all the time, or he's hanging out with girls and stuff? Would you want him, or would you expect him, maybe not ask him, but would you expect him to delete those pictures? Would you expect him to want to sort of like, if you were into her still, then why is her picture still on your Instagram? If you're into her and not into me, would there be a difference, let's say, for a guy? Because I think the Jackie here screwed things up. She was like, well, what about guys who put on, they go shirtless on their Instagram? That's not analogous. I think what's analogous is if that guy still has his ex in his Instagram, if he still has like his old party pictures where he's like hanging out with strippers and eating wings at Hooters or some shit like that, right? Where he's with a lot of women and he doesn't take those off of there. Would it be the same effect as a woman not wanting to take off her pictures on Instagram?
I think that guys are ready to delete that stuff before the relationship's done. So I don't know. I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
I don't look or stalk my ex's profile, and I don't remember ever looking at that. The guys are boring, but would it? Probably. I guess it's the same. No? Yeah. I don't know.
Like if you were with a guy, would you, if let's just say you're with him for like 3 months and he didn't put your picture on there, if he was doing a soft launch, would that be different?
I don't care. You know, I don't care. I don't look at that stuff. I really don't care.
Yeah. Well, because you're single and I know Sarah's single. So like if
I get posted all the time. Are you kidding? I'm fun.
Well, of course you do.
Yeah. Like, so I never had to think about it.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just wondering if there's something analogous to that. Like if the guy still has his pictures up, let's just say you've been with this guy sort of exclusively for like 2 or 3 months, and he hasn't put one picture of you on his Instagram or made it official in any way on social media. Is that the same as asking a woman to take off her Instagram pics?
Man, you know, I did get all butthurt when my husband or my ex-husband wasn't putting enough pictures of me up on his Instagram, but he was putting up pictures of a wedding we went to or something like that. So I'm trying to put this into perspective.
Yeah, like do guys post?
I mean, I don't think men are on social media as much as women, unless they have like a business platform.
They make a living off of it, so yeah.
Yeah, what I would say is like there's kind of a difference, right? So taking the pictures with the strippers, like mildly annoying, but I don't really feel in competition with them, I don't think. Also, like how hot is the ex that he posted? Because if I'm hotter than her, then like I'm okay with us being on the same timeline. But the other thing about it is like, is he spending money on these women? Right? Like I feel like I care more about that. Yeah, like the providing resources. Is he emotionally invested in these women? Like I think that would be more offensive. But I will say the only time I've gotten irritated about old pictures was because I went snooping, wanted to figure out what my man had dealt with. And I found like the hottest like 45-year-old woman of all time. And that bothered me for a while.
That is
so I
awesome.
never went back in. I was like, forget it. Like this is your
She's
I don't
post
need to do
wall.
this.
She's post wall queen.
Post wall and hot.
So
trust me, Tom's happy to be with you.
Thank you.
I get that vibe anyways. Most definitely. No, the reason I wanted to throw that out, you're bringing up another point, Allie, is that like women get jealous for different reasons than guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remember that I think that in getting pissed off at a guy expecting a woman to delete her pictures from Instagram, it's a form of mate guarding, really is what it is for guys. It's like
I thought about that too. Yeah.
I said this on like remember Torshaa, remember when we were on Saucecast and we were talking about Gary V and how he didn't post any pictures of his wife on Instagram. But then when they were getting divorced, now suddenly this hot piece of ass that he's with, I forget her name, but like she's that girl would never be with a guy like Gary V were he not Gary V, right? But here now suddenly he's like, yeah, now she's arm candy, right? Now he wants to put that out there. And so like you got to remember that the reason why women get jealous is because of emotional investment versus like guys are like, I don't want other guys thinking that you're available, because when Myron and Fresh say, yeah, that's a form of cheating, really the cheating aspect of it is it's a mate guarding instinct. It's a want to know that this bitch is mine, right? It's like, I said this before, it's like all men love sluts. They just want them to be their slut.
Your slut. Yeah.
Be my slut. You know, I want you to be as dirty a dirty bitch as you can possibly be, but just for this guy. That's all I want out of you, you know, is some loyalty and some duty and stuff like that. But it's like, I think even Allie was, when you were looking for, you could go snooping and everything. It's like, is he still in love with her? That's a different than is she bang or does she want to bang some other guy? And so men tend to focus on the sexual aspect of infidelity, whereas women tend to focus on the emotional investment. Like, are you in love with her? Because it represents a loss of resource and a loss of investment on that woman's part. Whereas for men, the infidelity is very visceral because it's like, I can't trust this bitch because I don't know if the baby comes out of her is going to be my baby.
Well, you're trying to find an equivalent to a man asking a woman to take her Instagram down, right? Is there a female concern?
Yeah.
A parallel? Is there a female concern parallel for that? And I do agree that a man having shirtless pictures is not the female parallel, because
No.
it's not that being in good shape doesn't lead to opportunity, but it's not quite the same thing. It's not quite the same of a peacock for men. As you know, I'm in good shape. Does it increase my opportunity? Sure, but it does not necessarily mean like women come running. Whereas we understand that if a woman posts a thirst trap, they're literally, it's almost like them coming to your virtual door. They're coming to the DMs. They're actually seeking after you. So it's a peacock, which is a mating strategy. That's the issue with it. Correct? Am I on the ball with that, Rollo?
I think so. I think so. It's advertising is what it is. It's sexually advertising yourself. It's like you're constantly in the club. Like
which is a mating. It's kind of a mating strategy, right? So I don't think people understand you're actually viewing this as a mating strategy. It is a mating strategy. So you're taking issue with the person that's in a relationship having a mating strategy more so than it just being like, oh, it's just a picture. It's just my life. Go ahead, Ali.
I think I found an equivalent. So it's like the equivalent of asking a woman to take down her Instagram is like, let's say your man has, just girlfriends, right? You're not in sexual competition with them at all. Or he's got like female coworkers, but he's emotionally available to them. Like they can call and he takes the call when you're in the middle of something. Like you could be watching a movie and you're like, why are you giving this heifer emotional support? So like the conversation would be like, no, you have to understand that there's boundaries between men and women, and these women are using your attention, and I don't like that. So I think that would be the equivalent of asking a woman to take down her Instagram.
Yeah, that's good. I was actually just trying to figure the same thing. I was just trying to figure what is worse for a man to have on his Instagram. Is it my abs or is it my lifestyle? Because women think differently than men. So while we're purely visual, we're like, wow, that's what I would get in bed if she hopped into bed with me. When a woman looks at a man's Instagram, is it really just like, okay, there's a bunch of short, jacked Italian dudes in the world. I'm not necessarily getting ahead with that. But what about my lifestyle? What about her being able to put herself in those pictures, in a sense that like I mess around with this dude and I'm flying here and there, and I could wind up, on a set with 100 people, or I could wind up at live stage performances, or we could be going on vacations, etc. So I think of it like that. How about lifestyle versus
resources? Yeah, isn't that the same?
Well, how about it for a male peacock? Is you got the guys that post thirst traps or thirst traps and lifestyle pictures, but lifestyle is almost a bigger flex for men, because a woman can actually put herself in that position, like mentally, when she's looking at it, versus just like, okay, he has abs, fantastic, he did crunches.
I thought peacocking was having something strange and out there, like attire, to get the girl to like ask about it or something.
It's signals. It's a costly signals is really what peacocking.
Are you talking
is.
about like in terms of like pair bonding, like where they had the weird feathers?
Well, it depends. Okay, so again, there's a whole section of this in my latest book about peacocking. Yeah. I get into the nuts and bolts with respect to evolutionary psychology. Now, what is peacock's feathers? Well, that's the male peacock spreading his feathers so that he can attract a male or a female peahen, right? Yeah. And what it is, the problem with it is that, or this is the theory anyways, is that by having that big fan of tails, it says, I am a badass peacock. You want to mate with me and you'll have badass peacocks as well, right? So what it is that the tail represents a costly signal that's really impossible to fake for a high testosterone, a high value peacock, right? Would only be able to have this really ornate fan of feathers, because it makes them vulnerable to predators. He can't fight as well. And it also, means you can dominate other lesser peacocks because you have bigger tails and And what it is a costly signal, meaning that I have a high value to you, or high reproductive value to you, because I have this. So when you carry that over into sort of like human societies, it could be your abs. It could be that you're jacked and juicy as fuck, right? And that could be I said in the book, I said the highest form of peacocking is having a great physique as a guy, especially because most guys do not have an elite level physique. So that's number one. Or it could be that you have a Lamborghini, or it could be that you have very expensive like sunglasses. There's something about you that
the Tinder guy.
I think it was God Sod who wrote the whole thing about what is it? What is it? It's costly signaling, but it's also what is it? observable something or other. I can't remember. Anyways,
I think I know what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Tom, he has an Audi R8. He saved for a decade for it. I don't mind when he lets kids in the
Conspicuous
car for
consumption. That's what
pictures.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Conspicuous
yeah.
consumption.
I don't mind when he has kids in the car. I don't mind when he has like average looking women sit in the car and take pictures. But I think I would be very pissed if he was to let like a bimbo in the car. I think that would drive me nuts. I don't think I would enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd be concerned about loss of investment in your relationship with him. Like you're married him, you're committed to this guy. You took the chance, like you said. I took the leap of faith here, and I'm going to be with this guy, and that's how things are going to work out. So if he betrays that trust, it's not just a betrayal of trust. It's also a opportunity cost, right? It's a loss of investment, and that's really where the jealousy sort of comes. And so that's why I say when we're talking about like, do women have power over men? That's where women try to ensure themselves in a relationship. Well, if the shit hits the fan, I got my business. I know I'm okay. I've got the money here. I'm a strong, independent woman. And if he's not making more money than I am, if he's not somebody I can look up to and admire, if he has, looks, money, muscles, money game, like that, if he's not the apex of that, it's okay because I've already got my shit taken care of. And even if I don't, I have the perception that I have my shit taken care of. So that's I think is one of the reasons why women don't want to let themselves give men authority or want to. I hate to use the term submit because I don't think it's really submission. I think it's like to have genuine desire to the point where they're willing to take the chance on a guy, on men in general, that they've been taught for most of their lives that they should never trust. He's either ridiculous or he's incompetent or he's a borderline. He could be abusive. And that's where Jackie O goes in here. Like, well, you possessive cavemen from the 1950s, you just want to domineer over women and you want to turn us into your slave girls or something like that and send us back to, I don't know, put us back into bondage back in, like Hebrews of Egypt or some shit like that. And it's like, no, that's not where this is going. But it's the want for that. It's the desire to want to actually be with that guy. There's difference in being obligated to submit, and that's really where the conversation is here, and the desire to want to submit. And that's I said this, and I said this on Fresh and Fit. I said this on my show on Sundays. I don't want, and I don't think men should really want, a woman who doesn't have the desire to submit. Right. I want to be Ryan Gosling, right? And I want you to be Eva Mendes. I want to be the guy whose babies you want to have, and you will sacrifice and you'll put it all on the line and take the chance because you go, that's the guy. That's the guy that says like that silences the hypergamous doubt, which is, is he the best I can do? I don't want to say, please delete all your pictures off of Instagram. That conversation should never happen. Similarly, I don't want to say you're taking my last name, bitch. I'm not that. I don't want that because that conversation should never even take place. If I'm Ryan Gosling and you're Eva Mendes, okay, that will never take place because it's already a given that you're going to take my last name, which by the way, we're toying around with right now. I think over in Italy or something like that. We're crushing the patriarchy by, making women have the option not to take a man's last name if they don't want to in a Catholic country, by the way. And so I'm looking at this and I'm going, first of all, it's removing the man, but also it's like, why wouldn't you want to? Because you don't trust the guy. Because you're so self-empowered and so entitled and so hubristic, and you're the only one you can trust. Well, if that's the case, then why ever get married? Why ever get into a long-term relationship if that's the case? Why even bother? And if that's the precondition, why we're having this conversation about like nothing at that point. Sorry, go ahead, Tori. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that's possession. I just think that women want to possess men with marriage, but they actually don't want to be. That was really it.
Married. Yeah. I don't think they want to be married. This is a good one. Neil says, what do the women on the panel think about Iron Rule number 7? Ooh. Are you guys familiar with that? I'll read it to you.
It's always time and effort better spent developing new, fresh, prospective women than it will ever be in attempting to reconstruct a failed relationship.
Remember what I said about genuine desire? That's it.
Hey.
Memorize it. You're right. You're just about right. Iron Rule Tomassi number 7. It is always time and effort better spent developing new, fresh, prospective women than it will ever be in attempting to reconstruct a failed relationship. Never root through the trash once the garbage has been dragged to the curb. You get messy, your neighbors see you do it, and what you thought was worth digging for is never as valuable as you thought it was. That's basically going back and like trying to reconstruct a failed relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anybody have any words about that?
I feel so bad. I got a friend who just got ran up on. Yeah, it's entirely solid. No, like every time I see a guy take a girl back, women will do this thing, right? So like you'll break up with us, but it doesn't sit well. So we're gonna convince you to get back into the relationship with us so that we can break up with you. I don't know why, but I know that we do it. Don't know why. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit different for women. Again, it's like there's the investment cost is different. I think guys go rooting through I shouldn't say this. I think both men and women both try to reconstruct failed relationships because it's the sure thing. They're like, okay, it worked in the past, and I don't. It seems like logic to want to get back with the sure thing than it is with like going out and putting yourself out there into a position of real rejection. And I think it's always a bad idea because again, it's the person you're trying to reconstruct this with. There was a reason why you threw them in the trash in the first place, and those reasons are still going to be there, even though you choose to ignore them and no, it didn't happen.
I think sometimes guys in this community want to go back in time, so to speak, and rekindle the relationship that they fumbled when they were blue pill after having a new understanding, because they want to go and like flex on the girl that didn't accept them for what they were, and now they have a new understanding, and that's also time better spent putting into your purpose.
Exactly. Mac, again, this is good. Women asking men to quit hobbies is just them trying to assume authority in a relationship. I wouldn't.
That's very toxic.
Men asking men for women to leave socials. You guys get that? I'll read it again. I wouldn't equate it to men asking men for women to leave social media. So women asking men to quit hobbies is just them trying to assume authority in a relationship. Have you ever done that? Have you have you ever got with a guy and you found out he's kind of like nerdy and you don't like his hobbies?
I would never do that.
No.
I encourage.
Let the girls go, and then I got a great piece on this. I'll end.
All right. Allie's laughing. She knows.
Well, I feel bad about it. But yeah, I used to really like get on my ex-husband about playing video games, but I think sometimes it's like the nature of the hobby. I don't know. It wasn't genuine desire, because I feel like if my husband wanted to do whatever he wanted with his free time, I don't think I'd say anything. But for some reason, like that guy got on my nerves, so I was mad that he was like playing video games. I don't know. It's not a good thing. It's totally toxic. Like Toxic Women's Anonymous, used to suffer from toxic woman syndrome. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I think I was super duper toxic, but I would come back down to reality. I always say women are a victim of their biology, because you can go straight just crazy, and then if you're kind of a down to earth chick, you can come down from that and realize, wow, that was really crazy. I take that back. And I think that I probably did think or say something against a hobby at some point, but immediately retracted it, knowing that I was going crazy B,
Yeah. Yeah. I've talked about hobbies in the past too. And it's, I think when did I put this in? I think I put this in, I might've put it in the last book, matter of fact. But when I talk about hobbies, I've actually done shows about this, is that when guys have hobbies, if that hobby in some way, reinforces that woman's like belief about herself or benefits her in some sort of like even an indirect way, that she's usually okay with it. But if it's something that's not going to benefit her, like like say your hobby is playing, basketball with your friends after work or whatever. That's a hobby that like women be, oh yeah, that's cool because he stays in shape and he's working out and he's, it's conducive to, hey, he looks better because he has some physical hobby that he likes to do. It's another thing if your hobby is like World of Warcraft, or if you have some sort of like nerdy hobby that has no direct benefit to a woman, and then that's when women go, oh, wow, that's so childish. Why would you want to do something like that? It's all like, if it's even like slightly embarrassing, or you collect like you collect Legos or some shit like that, Jack Napier. And suddenly, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If that's what you really like, then that's what you really like. But if it doesn't directly or indirectly benefit a woman, then women have problems with your hobbies as a guy.
Yeah, well, then there's the insecure woman who has an issue with any hobby that you have that could put you in the eyesight of other women, or could put you around other women. If your hobby it involves you being out in the public eye where you do have an opportunity to meet women, that's something a real insecure, manipulative, toxic woman I found takes issue with.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah,
That's hard.
it's insane. I always just
It-
pick
it-
up their hobby.
I think the point that I try to make to women is that toxic women, they don't realize they operate the same way that toxic men do. So they're the same ones that will criticize toxic masculinity and not understand that like they're the perfect demonstration of the opposite end of that. Like real briefly, I'm sure the girls on the panel know that a truly toxic man, not just a man that's confident and they call him toxic, a truly toxic man, a truly manipulative man nitpicks at little things that tear you down. He doesn't need to come right out and say something horrible and abusive. Little things over a long period of time. Like you get dressed up sexy, you're excited for him to see you dressed up sexy, and he's like, "Are you wearing that? Like, are you did your hair like that?" And it's little things over a period of time that start fucking with your self-esteem. I was talking to a girl that didn't like that I did love scenes in my film. So little by little, you really think you're good enough to star in the movie? You think you should just direct it and not have somebody? And I didn't catch it at first, but after a while, I'm like, she's trying to convince me that I'm not good at my craft so that I won't do a love scene again.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because like when you're doing acting, that's one thing. It's another thing if like it seems like you really mean it. I don't know if women get the same rise out of that guys would. Like if you see your girlfriend or your wife or whatever doing a love scene with someone else, I think as a guy you kind of look at that differently as you do when a girl, because like for a guy who is desired by other women, that's almost a compliment to the woman that he is with, because it means like he's the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang, right? So it's like it's social proof to and this goes back to what Myron and Fresh were talking about. Like, no, it's okay for men to have their own Instagram, and women should take theirs off if they're in a relationship. Because one of the things that they didn't talk about was the social proof and the pre-selection aspect of all of that. So if a guy has his Instagram and he's looking good and he's doing like maybe it's lifestyle, maybe it's his flexing abs or whatever else, and his wife or his girlfriend is not allowed to have that in a way reinforces that guy's value to the woman that he's with, because it means that she is with a guy that other men want to bang and other men want to be, because he's got affluence and everything else. His lifestyle is, as far as his lifestyle is concerned. So when a guy is in a relationship with her, and now they I think they take it maybe a little bit too far, saying men are entitled to go cheat. Okay, but it's another thing to exercise the idea anyways that women don't want a man to cheat, but they love a man who could cheat. They love a guy who's doing a love scene in a movie. They love a guy who is like sexy enough to go out there and be a rock star, but still be, he's a family man too, right? He's still with her. But other women want him because he is, pre-selection, and he's valuable, but it's also a sort of this ego appeasement or affirmation for women saying, I'm the girl that gets that guy. Those bitches are hanging on him, but I know who he's coming home to and who he's with.
There's a specific kind of toxic, insecure female personality. I'm not saying it's most women, but there is a certain kind of specific toxic, insecure woman who still wants the man that could cheat, but once she gets him, it rattles the fuck out of her knowing that he could cheat.
It's not above her in sexual market value.
No, right, 1,000%, and she has no clue how to handle it. So belittling, tearing down his character will actually become part of her mechanics of trying to keep him mentally in a box so he doesn't feel confident enough around other women that he even has the idea that he could cheat. I wrote about I have an audio book called Thought Crime. You guys could search that. And in my last chapter, I wrote about a brief trend that went on where girls that were this hyper insecure were actually starting a trend where they praised boyfriends that had video game addiction. And they were encouraging other insecure women not to get mad if their man doesn't pay enough attention to them and plays video games too often. And the posts went something like, get you a relationship like this. My man is too concerned trying to beat Grand Theft Auto to ever be around other women and possibly cheat or possibly give women attention other than you. And I was saying, so this is what we're doing now. My man is a good boy who stays at home and plays his video games. And I said something facetious in the book, something to the effect of like, oh, you would never have the opportunity to cheat. You've got Grand Theft Auto games to beat, and there's like fucking 9 of them.
Yeah, that's the digital equivalent of the extra scoop of rice.
Yeah, but then actually, let me bring this full circle, because when I brought up this discussion, I was saying at a certain point, the woman that wants to wear the pants will inevitably find that she's dealing with a man that she can't respect or submit to as a result of her wanting to take the lead. Well, what I said in the book is that the women that love the fact that their men are at home playing video games, because then he's not around other women, like men aren't crafty enough to cheat and play video games, but I'll let it rock. Right, but I'll let it rock. But that mate guarding is setting themselves up for complacency and a man that's always under her ass. So eventually, I do think eventually down the line, that insecurity might dwindle. And now she'll just be like, Christ, at least if he's out cheating, it'll get him out of the house. It'll get him out from behind me.
Yeah, it turned into it's the ballad of Clark Kent. Right. It's like Lois Lane falls in love with Superman. You know, he can fly, he can bend bars with his bare hands. He's bulletproof. He's Superman. Right. But then gradually she turns him into Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper. And he wears glasses, even though he's got lasers for eyes. Right. He doesn't have to wear glasses. He just does, because that's him.
Yeah. I'll say Lois Lane is slightly hypergamous, but Mary Jane from Spider-Man is a hoe.
Yeah. Just is like and of course, when I wrote Ballad of Clark Kent, it's then of course she falls in love with Batman, and Batman's dark, mysterious, and he's a superhero. Well, so was Superman when you first met him, but like gradually over time, he became what you wanted him to become, which was Clark Kent. And so now Clark Kent is not somebody that Lois can respect or look up to or feel anything for, because he's not exciting. He's not Superman anymore, right? And so eventually she looks for another superhero. In this case, I just threw out Batman as the one, right? But that's the eventual.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, when guys backslide, when guys like the man that most women fall in love with and want to get into a relationship with, eventually or gradually, or this is like what we think is supposed to happen, is like, oh, well, you sort of give up and, you got to mature and move on. And once you have kids, then the sex declines and blah, and it's not as exciting and da, 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 da. And so essentially what they're saying is that you marry, you date and you bang Superman, but after you marry him, then suddenly you eventually turn him into Clark Kent, into the man who you wouldn't have married at all had you met him when you were in your 20s, and now he's in his 30s, and you basically domesticated the guy. And that it was just trying to make an illustration here. Of course, everybody's literal in the first place, but like when I was trying to point out those differences, it's like that those guys become who that woman expects him to be. So if it's about video games, hey, I bought him Grand Theft Auto, and now he's trapped by Grand Theft Auto, and he's a good boy, and he does what he's told because he's not out there, he's not on his game. He's not trying to be anything more than he was. Well, eventually that guy's going to turn into Clark Kent.
Yeah, right. And same thing about girls that don't want boys' night going down, and don't want him to have friends, because Lord knows if he goes out with his boys, they might bump into some women. And by the way, I'll let the girls talk now and sit back. But Rollo, did you say that there was a volume of the comic books where Superman's bitch tried to get with Batman?
No. I was
like, Jesus Christ.
No, it's not like that at all. Although probably in Justice League, there's something like that. But because I know that there was like some sort of rivalry between Superman and Batman with Wonder Woman at one point. But that's, again, we're talking comic books. This is interesting. Getting rid of Instagram is the equivalent of a woman telling her man to get rid of porn. With porn, he needs his girl just a little less, and she knows it.
I saw
that's
that.
Analogous.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Not that bad. We made a start.
I think that try to tell a guy to get rid of porn, they won't do it. Oh,
That's
yeah,
true.
I guess
That's
true. I
true.
could see it, but
Yeah.
like, I don't think they would. They would lie.
Mhm.
Right?
You're right. They would resist. Yeah, I think you're right.
What are you gonna do? Put child locks on his phone?
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
that. I'm saying
I
he
know,
would lie and say he's not using it, but like a girl, she's gonna block just her boyfriend, like so he doesn't see her profile. Like, it doesn't work
Here's a
that
good one.
way.
Have you ever gone through your man's like history to see if he's like looking at porn?
Oh my gosh. One time I did, but this was like not my current marriage. It's my first
Y'all
marriage. And what I found, I think like ruined my life. Like I wish I never looked. Like word to the women. Maybe don't snoop. Like you be
Don't
finding out some
snoop.
things that you don't need to know. Don't do it. Learn from me.
Yeah.
Why did
No,
you
don't
find?
snoop. No.
You do that, Sarah?
Yeah, I got sick of being sick. Hey, what psychoanalyze this one for me, you guys, because so when I was done being super freaky jealous chick, because I was that for many years of my life, but once I decided to open up the lingerie stands, I quickly made the decision that I was not going to entertain that anymore, and it was just gone.
So because why do you think that is? Why do you think
I wanted to be successful in what I was doing, and I didn't want it to cause me problems, you know?
Would you have been jealous of guys before if they were into like what you're doing? If they like the guys that would come to your tell everybody what you do first of all, so we get some context.
Well, so I employ girls that dress in lingerie and serve coffee. So yeah, there is a lot of that. I mean, if I'm in there and I see a guy that I know come through, I just don't go in there anymore, because they'll be like, oh, don't tell so-and-so, don't, tell my girlfriend, don't tell my wife, whatever. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to be in the middle of this. It's really not that serious, but it's also opened my eyes up to female nature, male nature. And I just don't take it as personally, or it's not super offensive to me anymore.
Would it have been in the past though?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I was freaky deaky, always in the phone, looking for the porn, making myself physically sick. I mean, I was as crazy as you could get, so
funny.
This was a good one. I'll throw this out there. Had an issue with IG with my ex-girlfriend. She was getting hit up. I said, no, don't like it. She took it upon herself to delete IG. I did not tell her to do it. I said, now your girlfriends are going to cry. Was this the sisterhood uber alles? I think that probably the fact that she would go and do something like that meant that you gave her an ultimatum without giving her an ultimatum. I think is really what happened in that situation. And it would have been a different situation had she done it unasked and unsolicited. That's the Eva Mendes, Ryan Gosling gambit right there.
Genuine desire.
Do that. She's like, then and it goes away and you didn't have to say anything. Then that, to me anyways, that indicates like genuine desire, as opposed to saying, I have a real problem with this. And then she goes and does it. That's obligation.
Ultimatum's not good.
Yeah. What else is there? Question for everyone on the panel. What does a woman mean when she says she's an old soul?
I know exactly what she means.
Say this, yet I'm suspicious of this self-labeling after watching Rollo decimate the soulmate myth. What does it mean when she says she's an old soul?
How old is she? Because I think women that say that love older men and just want to get fucked by them. And they think
it could be that, or it could be that, or it's her trying to convey, whether it's true or not, that she withholds some traditional values from the past. Now, whether or not that's a complete flex and completely full of shit, sometimes I perceive that as a hoe trying to pretend like she has Allie's mentality. Like, oh, I'm like a little bit of a traditionalist. That outside of the hoeing, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist.
I have the potential to be a loyal wife.
Oh my God.
I just don't do it.
Incarnation, my current form.
I just think of her getting fat and ugly, like while you guys are dating. Like that's someone who stays home, reads, but just gets fat. I don't know. Hi.
I don't think.
Go ahead, Allie. What do you think it means?
I don't think most women that say that they're old souls really mean it. Like there is a difference between like one of the reasons why I'm a hopeless romantic and I'm all about genuine desire is because like I take in art that is like old school and romantic. Like I love the Bee Gees. What else do I love? I love like Otis Redding. I love like these old school love jams. And I do boring things like I like to crochet and I like to bake. And so like by definition, like I'm probably an old soul, but if I wanted to like swindle a guy, you know what I mean? If I was like a 3 or 4, I'd be like, yeah, I kick it old school sometimes. You should marry me and find out.
Conditional.
Follow-up answer for Torshaa. One of the women is 22 and the other's 26.
How old is he?
That's the old soul.
She wants to, I know, but how old's the guy?
22 and 26.
You should be dancing is my shit, by the way, Allie.
Wait, but I'm saying, is this him? Is Juan? Is he talking to these girls?
Yeah, the ones who are saying this, that they're old souls, is 22 and 26. Remember, you asked her like, well, how old are these
How
girls?
old is he? How old is the guy?
That's what you wanted to know. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm saying young girls will tell him that she's an old soul because she wants him to fuck her.
Yeah.
I called you old, but whatever.
You know what? Let me kick it back here real quickly. Here's what I think. Okay. First of all, this is chick crack number one. Okay, so let's just go. This is like we vibing. I'm vibing with you. I'm an old soul. I'm a wanderer in the universe. Get the fuck out of here. You're not a wanderer in the universe. What you are is you're a young 22-year-old something. You see potential for a long-term relationship with this guy. So you have to, and usually you'll like. I'm glad you asked that, Tori. Like, how old are you? Probably I don't know this, but when you hear like I'm an old soul, it's like the guy's 35 and she's 22 and she's like, well, I'm an old soul, meaning that I'm relatable to I know I'm young, but I'm really not that ratchet. I'm an old soul and I carry on these traditional conservative I'll bake bread for you and I'll make a good shepherd's pie for you when you come home from work, you know, even though I look like I belong in the clubs. I think that's probably what it is. But you can't put it in those terms, so it's got to be like woo magical, you know, Brazilian power crystals shoved up your ass. So
I think it's also kind of like age gaps. Women are told like men are perverts for going for younger women. So when women say that, it's kind of that's what I meant by fucking. I'm like, she's giving you that permission that she doesn't find it creepy. So she's trying to act like she's on his level.
Yeah,
that's
I thought that was interesting too. Do you remember that? Tori, do you remember that when we were on Saucecast and that chick's like, because I was talking about like how men who because I was trying to go into the sexual market value you know, the peak years, right? So guys peak out at like 36 and women are at 23, and she's like so you think you know, younger women should get with older guys or something like that? And I'm like, well, I mean, technically speaking, they do go for men who are 3 to 7 years older than that. I'm trying to explain this to him. She's like, well, that sounds kind of old and creepy and perverted, like trying to say like I'm weird for that. And I wish I had remembered this because I watched the replay. I wish I would remember this. She just broke up with a guy who was like 40 years old or something like that. And I was like, wait a minute. Was that not you just not too long ago?
It's old and creepy if you get with a grown loser. You don't get with a grown child. I've seen young girls do that. I've seen 17, 18-year-olds get with a dude my age. I just turned 26. And if he's a fucking loser, then you have a grown child. You don't actually have a man leading you. And in that respect, it is a little bit gross. But that's different between that and a man of value.
Sure. Rollo, so are you advising the men to release the woman they are with if they don't voluntarily delete their social profiles? I'm not going to say delete them, but I will say this. The medium is the message, Juan. And the medium in this case is that she's not done that. And I so on my show on Sunday, I mentioned this, and maybe you guys, this is a good point of conversation is, when you go to a restaurant and the service is bad or the food sucks or you thought it was too expensive, you had a bad experience at a restaurant, most people don't go to the manager and go, this fucking sucked, you know, or they don't go and they try to tell like the waitress, here's what you did wrong, baby, and maybe you can improve the next time I'm here, right? No, they just walk out of the fucking restaurant and they never come back and they never say anything, and maybe they can leave something on Yelp, right? But usually people just don't ever come back. They vote with their feet. And that's essentially what happens when a high value guy, the guy that women say they all want and they're entitled to, 6 foot tall, six pack abs, 6-figure income, you know, that guy votes with his feet. If the food is bad, if the woman is not serving up the food that he wants to get, or, you know, at the restaurant is bad, he's not going to go, well, baby, I'm leaving you. And here's why I'm leaving you, because you didn't delete your pictures off of Instagram, right? He's not going to say that. He's on to the next bitch. He's on to the next girl. Why waste time? A guy who's a high value enough, who understands and realizes and is in complete consciousness of his own value to women, he's going to vote with his feet. He's not going back to the restaurant, and you're never going to know. Because you'll say, well, you'll make up reasons, you'll rationalize, well, he must have been insecure. No, he's voting with his feet. He's not coming back to your restaurant again. And that's really what it comes down to. Is like, as you said, you know, would you am I advising men to release the woman that they are with? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is part of the medium is the message. It might be a red flag, right? It might be, maybe, here's the thing, maybe you're with her, and then eventually she does. Maybe she doesn't initially do it, but if she's constantly doing it, if she gets off on the ego appeasement of it, then yeah, that's a red flag. And in that case, yes, I would say release her from duty or vote with your feet, right? And so, men who know that a king doesn't have to tell you he's a king, right? He doesn't have to like explain himself to you. You just realize that he is, and he's going to manifest behaviors, and he's going to have an attitude about himself because he understands his own self-worth. He's going to vote with his feet. So it's medium is the message. The medium in this case is that you're not Ryan Gosling. She does not desire you enough to even have that as a consideration that, hey, maybe I ought to pull these things off of there because it kind of looks bad on him and it looks bad on me.
I always leave in those situations. I give you enough rope to, either play tug of war or hang yourself. The first sight of 304ism, and I dip without explanation.
Yep.
I would just fuck her and not date her if I was a dude.
Because
yeah.
Because I don't fuck without emotion, and falling in love with a hoe is tragic.
You fall in love with hoes daily. What are you talking about?
I know, that's why I got to keep replacing them. I was like, I've done it again. God damn it.
Not again.
Sarah's with me. She's like, oh man, we're with the youngins here.
This is the kids' table, Sarah.
The adults table is over here.
This is the kids' table.
All right. We've been going for almost 3 hours, so I think we should probably kill it right here. But this has been a really great conversation. I want to thank all you guys for showing up and doing this for us. And ostensibly, of course, we're still promoting the Red Pill Lions NFT.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go around the table. I don't think I've not introduced any of the ladies on this show in any prior show. So these are the ladies that I have some sort of relationship with, in the sense that like I work with them or I do this with them.
Sister wives.
These are my sister wives. All of these are my sister wives.
Yeah.
Right here.
I'm proud to be a sister wife.
Yes, everyone is a Tomassi sister wife. There are more, but these are the top three. So, and Sam just threw this out. Oh my goodness! Thank you, Sammy.
This is good to be Rollo. Rollo, you know how Gene Simmons says, like, that's why it's good to be me. That's like your life.
Kingmaker, right? Yeah. Well, I joke about it all the time. Like, when I'm on Fresh and Fit, I'm like, man, you might make a good sister wife. So it's good, and I'm glad things are sort of like I'm getting into different spheres right now. And the only reason I know Sarah, by the way, is because I went to Rebel Capitalist. That's where we made our connection, was at the Rebel Capitalist conventions. And she knows Robert Kiyosaki. Well, I mean, I guess you pal around. You took a picture once with Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah.
So that's how so in case people are wondering, like, how does Sarah come into all this? I met her, George Gammon, and the Rebel Capitalist stuff as well. Oh, and Homie Clicks at the 0 hour. There you go. Get them in. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then also get some real value returned back to you. We've got the Red Pill Lions NFT. Sarah, how many NFTs do you own, Sarah?
14, but that's not the only thing. Like, the Discord group is fire. It is so fun. Like, I had no idea what an NFT was until I bought one, and now I've just been totally geeking out on it for 3 days, 4 days, or something like that.
Do you own any other crypto? Do you have any other crypto as well? Or?
Yeah, I've got crypto, but no NFTs. So I had the ETH, the Ethereum, and some Bitcoin, but that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, Sarah, you have a lot. I would hold a few, but I would sell a few. These guys are making money.
Yeah, this guy's looking already.
You have more than enough to do both, to hold out and see what happens.
You got more than I do.
Yeah.
These are mine.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna sell a couple and then buy a couple more. I really want to get one of the super rare ones. So I have a problem. It's a problem.
Like potato chips.
Well, let us know what's going on. If you sell a few, hit the Discord and let us know.
Okay, I will.
And hit that like button while you're at it. Thank you, Yellow Eye, for all of that. Your good fortune. All right, let me go around the horn here. I'll just treat this like a rule zero. Kevin, what's up with you? And tell everybody what's going on for you this week.
Right now, just focusing on Red Pill Lions, getting ready for the CME. I have a speech at the CME. I'm like the Billy the Kid of the show. I'm like the least famous person there, but I'm still going to eat up the opportunity, and I'm happy to be there. We're also doing work at the CME. Rollo and I are going to do a bunch of shit in Miami. The boys are coming down to do music videos in Miami. I think we're getting ready to do another fellas tape. We're getting ready to do another episode of The Adventures of Captain Savo, which is my streaming series where I play Captain Savo if he was a real life crime fighter that actually saves hoes. We're going to do 2 more episodes of that, and then we're going to get to work on the next feature. So if you want to find me anywhere, I have an audiobook called Thought Crime. You could find that everywhere attached to my name, Kevin Savo. Savo Central is the channel where you find the Red Pill talking points. The Fellas channel is where you find Thought Mommies and the Red Pill music. The Adventures of Savo is where you find the series that features Rollo, Donovan, and more Red Pill superstars to come. And make sure you get a Red Pill lion, even if you just get one, because it puts you in the drawing for the end of the week, where we're going to pick out a select few holders to come out to Miami and meet the entire Red Pill Expendables cast. Everybody, fresh and fit, Donovan, the whole crew.
Let me introduce 2020's Barstool Sports Smoke Show of the Month in Chicago.
God, I have to live up to Savo? Like, what the hell was that? I'm just...
Hey, I didn't get called a smoke show.
Yeah.
Still.
Smoke Show of the Month. What are you doing this month, anyway? What are you doing now? You want me on your show. I know that.
Yeah, Rollo's going to come on, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. You guys can just follow me, subscribe on YouTube, and that's really it. I have nothing coming up yet.
When is your when are your regular live streams? That's one thing.
Every day.
Every day? Are you sure you're doing them every day? Okay.
Yeah, every day except yesterday.
All right. Here's
I
what we
saw
mean.
a boy.
Here's what we mean by Smoke Show. That was from that photo shoot from 2020, right?
Embarrass me.
There you go. Now you can be embarrassed. All right. And Allie, what's up? Where are you going? What are you doing?
What am I doing? Well, I'm trying to have a baby. Like, that's priority number one. Trying to get pregnant. I want to have a football team. Hedge the evolutionary bets. But I have a YouTube channel at Filmsapien, trying to bring back lumberjack husbands and loyal wives. I promise they're out there. Like, I know masculine men in real life. Like, they love betting their wives, and their wives love getting, egg planted down, if you will. So I just want that for other people, and that's why I made the platform for it. Definitely encourage genuine desire. And I graduate in May, finally get off the indoctrination camp. So that's what's going on with me.
Awesome. And Sarah, my love, what are you doing now?
So I am doing a podcast. You can find that on YouTube at Black Sheep Stories. Black Sheep Stories.
Mm-hmm.
You can find my book on Amazon. It is called Something Better Brewing: What I Learned from Prison, Parenthood, and Going Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on Instagram at Sarah Paige Davis.
There you go. And I'm going to be on your show too. Just so
yes,
you know. I am coming over to your show as well.
Yes.
I'm going to do your show. I got to make the rounds, but see, since I got everybody on here, I figure I'd get everyone together. As far as what I am doing, I'm going to be on Masculine Geeks, talking about worthless hobbies. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. That'll be on Masculine Geeks. I always do that on Wednesdays with these guys. It's just, don't ask me red pill questions, please. It's just us, geeking out. I will, however, be on the Masculine Empowerment Network. That is the private thing that or the class and the Zoom calls that John from Modern Life Dating is doing this week. I will be in on it'll be 9 a.m. Eastern on Thursday. So that's Cinco de Mayo. I will be celebrating early. And I'm going to be on there talking about the psychology of games, psychology of the red pill, and sort of getting into some of the topics that I got into in book 5. So that's coming up. I will also be hosting Rule 0 on Saturday. That'll be 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know what the topic is going to be just yet, but it will probably have something to do with abortion. So, we'll be talking about that. And then, of course, my regular show is 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. So thank you very, very much for showing up. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope we can do this again. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for showing up. And I guess we're going to kill it right here. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.